You're listening to the Canary Crying News Talk live stream, pre-stream. Welcome, everybody. We're about to get started there. If you're watching live, you'll notice the QR code there on the screen. That'll take you to all of our links because you must follow us in other locations. If you're just relying on one YouTube channel or one service to make sure you get the show, you're going to miss it. It's happened. It's happened on very important episodes. Occasionally we'll get a strike or something, which is nonsense. Anywho, so head on over to linktr.ee, linktree/Canary Crying News Talk, or go ahead, scan that QR code right in front of you. But follow us all over the place. It's very important that you do so. Also, I want to give a big old congratulations to Cat B over on YouTube for first comment of the day award. Let's see here. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Sorry we're a little late, folks, but it is a packed show, and so you're not going to want to miss it. If you could, please go ahead, hit that like button early, if you wouldn't mind. Really helps out those algorithms. Yeah, all right. Stay hydrated. Let's start the show.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Crying News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Crying News Talk. Today is May 28th, 2021. This is episode 343. And today, Chimera Creep Congress. Razzle dazzle. I'm your best buddy, Basil.
And this is Gonz, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ. Welcome to the podcast where we bring you the best news in the world, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And the end of the world is not tomorrow, it's today.
Oh, came early this year, huh?
So it's all ending.
Yeah.
My world is falling apart.
It both is and isn't, because as we'll see, today it was a huge news day. Of course, if you caught last show, I mean, the show was great, but slower news day on Wednesday. And it seems like they saved it all up for Friday. What is that called? Don't they have like a special name for
the
when
Friday
they dump?
Yeah, the Friday dump.
Is that what it's called? The Friday dump?
Sure.
I thought there'd be a more official name, but yes, the Friday dump, where they dump a whole bunch of big news on Friday because less people read news on the weekend. But don't worry, that's why we're here, and that's why you're tuned in.
I need you to do your little camera refresh again. I don't know what the deal is. It takes a few tries to get the video card to cooperate with us.
Okay.
There you go. You're back. Okay. Great. What else is dumping is the Bitcoin price, which is it? It goes up and down. Yeah. It's been.
Well, dumping is a very specific term. What's it at right now?
Let me check. Let me do a quick refresh
Can't
on
be.
the price.
It hasn't gone below 35.
That's 35,299 at the moment. So it's
okay.
Dipping back down.
A little pull back there. That's okay. It's okay.
And we know there are many of our listeners who are kind of skeptical of Bitcoin and crypto and all that kind of stuff and how it's going to lead to the mark of the beast. And, we don't disagree with it from a kind of a long overview of what crypto represents. However, if you look at more of the details about the technology and everything else, it's a little bit different. But who hates Bitcoin is China. Allegedly.
Oh, yes.
They've banned it multiple times, but they've also said that it's real money, so, it's all propaganda. But this aired, and it was kind of going viral on Twitter. This is CGTN, which is the Chinese government television news or something like that, so it's definitely Chinese propaganda. But this is just a great little clip. It's a dialogue with a Chinese financial expert being asked about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency.
And Chuqiang, can you give me the worst scenario? What kind of a systemic shock it will give to the current financial system is if Bitcoin is widely used in China or the rest of the world?
Well, if Bitcoin will become the ultimate type of a form of the currency been adopted by human society, I can tell exactly what's going to happen as the worst scenario or the must scenario. We're all going to die.
We're all going to die.
It's not a joke.
Why do you say that?
Bitcoin has a very strict limited number, the total number. So which means this is a deflation currency, which means the currency would not grow its amount alongside with the growth of human economic development. That means we're going to see our society going on the death spiral of deflation, and the business sector will withdraw, and we're going to see people's job are going to be wither away, and then whole society is going to shrink and then self-explode. That's what happened in the end of the Ming Dynasty when they're short of the silver, and also happened in the Inca Empire when they're short of the gold. So this is not a good idea if we're going to have this kind of a cryptocurrency to run the real human society.
First off,
we're all going to die.
We're all going to die.
We're all going to die.
But I think it's really interesting how this guy here distinguishes human society. If humans decide to run Bitcoin, it's like, whoa, wait a minute, aren't you human?
Yeah.
Allegedly. Or maybe he's not.
Yeah.
Maybe he's alien.
Aliens.
Maybe the Chinese are all aliens. But also just some of the straight up lies, you know? We're all going to die.
Yeah. I mean, it's a straw man argument. He's talking about like if no other currency existed and it was only Bitcoin, then there would be the deflationary force. He's not taking into account that you can divide Bitcoin up to the, what is it?
100 millionth decibel.
Yeah.
Decimal, not decibel, decimal.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, you can bring Bitcoin all the way down to an extremely small unit of measurement, which you can't, I mean, you can only do so much with physical gold. So anyways, it's funny. We don't need to debunk this guy. It's obviously ridiculous.
and then society will collapse.
Yeah. And nobody wants Bitcoin to be the only currency. Nobody's even just saying that should be the case. But yeah, well, if it does happen, we're all going to die. The world will self-implode.
We're all going to die.
Okay. Great. Yeah. That's great news. Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of unnecessary alarmism, let's talk about Flippy.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
Flippy, for those who are new to the show, is the colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We're all gonna die. We use talking about Flippy as a way to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways that robots are taking over the world and how there's nothing we can do about it. Today, Gons, is one of those rare moments where it is an official Flippy update. That's right. Going back to the source, original Flippy, Miso Robotics has a lot going on, and so we're going to check in on him. This is coming from .la. And I'm going to skip a few paragraphs because we all know what Flippy is.
Do you want to read the headline so people know what's going on?
Yes, I will. I will do that. Thank you for asking. The headline is, as restaurants scramble for workers, it's order up for Miso Robotics and its burger flipping robot.
Oh,
they take a few paragraphs, quite a few paragraphs actually, to so kindly explain to us that there's been a pandemic and that robots can flip burgers now, and the restaurant industry is 15% below pre-pandemic levels. Surprise, surprise. But then, let's get into it. This is a quote. It says, quote, "When the pandemic hit, we saw the whole food industry wake up and say, AI, automation, robotics, This isn't sci-fi anymore. This is survival, said Buck Jordan, the co-founder and president of Miso Robotics. His company recently hired Jake Brewer, a former executive at CKE, the parent company of Carl's Jr. and Hardee's, to oversee product and business development as its chief strategy officer. Even before the pandemic, there was already a turnover crisis in the restaurant business. Industry measures in 2019 estimated a turnover rate between 130 and 150% in fast food chains, according to CNBC. Fast food jobs have become so routinized that workers who quit are easily replaceable. In other words, the jobs are designed for turnover or robots. 130% to 150% turnover is crazy. I believe that is an annual number, which means if you have 10 people working at a fast food restaurant, you're going to need to hire 15 people a year just to keep it going.
Keep it going, yeah.
Yeah, that is crazy. Flippy, which can be programmed to do a growing number of kitchen tasks in addition to burger flipping, has drawn the attention of quick-serve restaurants across the country. White Castle and Cali Burger were early adopters, and Canary Cry Radio was also an early adopter.
The first news outlet to really report and keep track.
We really were. Look at Flippy. Yeah. Flippy wouldn't be where he was if it wasn't for us. Anyways, and the robot was also deployed at Dodgers Stadium and Arizona Diamondbacks Chase Field to cook chicken tenders and tater tots. Parenthetical here. In White Castle's case, company vice president Jamie Richardson said that they were, quote, not dialing down on the number of people in a restaurant because of the technology, and instead were using Flippy to free up time for workers to focus on order and delivery accuracy. This year, White Castle added 10 new Flippy units to be deployed at franchises across the country. Now, with 1.8 million jobs unfilled in the restaurant business and increased interest in social distancing and, quote, low-touch cooking technology, there's a massive, screaming problem to address: automation in the food service industry, said Jordan. The entrepreneur was first introduced to automation in the Army, where he was exposed to unmanned ground vehicles in his work in tank and aviation. You know what? I just wanted to note real quick, this was kind of a strange thing to put into this article. Because as we know, and we've always tracked, technology in general, but especially autonomous robots, but even goes so far as, cyborg implants, DEWs, things like that. It always is created with the idea of saving lives, or the medical industry, but then skips that and goes straight to the military. And after the military, then the public gets access to it. Yeah. So it's strange how they mentioned in here, like, oh, Jordan, Jordan, the guy who worked for Carl's Jr. Yeah, this is how he learned about robots, the Army. I don't know. It's just kind of a weird sideways thing to mention. Quote, it was a pretty interesting way to think about the future of automation and how robots and computers can do some of those jobs and that humans shouldn't necessarily be doing. Okay, saying humans shouldn't be flipping burgers. Okay. That's not to say Miso is focused solely on automation. I'm going to skip this part. So they mentioned some other products that Miso has come out, including some food recognition technology, and sort of like an electronic coach for cooks.
I might need that. That's something I can use. It's a pretty disastrous situation in the kitchen.
Yeah, a home use for that. Yeah. But then it goes on. Abraham Pizam, founding dean and professor at Rosen College of Hospitality Management at the University of Central Florida, said that robotics may someday take the jobs of some restaurant workers, but not until the cost of the technology becomes cheaper than labor. But automation, he argues, is not necessarily a bad thing for human workers. Now get this, quote, peeling potatoes in the kitchen. who wants to have 8 hours a day peeling potatoes when actually there is a robot that can do that, Pizam said. Quote, you might put the same person in a higher level, better paying, and more sophisticated job.
What?
Now, Pizam, I don't know what you know about the restaurant industry. I don't know that much, but I know enough to know that if you have a guy who is
Whose main job
qualified to peel the potatoes for 8 hours a day, that individual is not the same person you're going to put in a better paying, high level, sophisticated job. Look, nothing against potato peelers. Potatoes need to get peeled. It's a good, salt of the earth, important job. And where would we be if it weren't for our hardworking potato peelers? But saying that we're going to get a robot to take your job so you can be vice president of finances is just a straight up lie for Mr. Pizam here.
Liar!
Yeah. So there you go. Flippy, this is his time. Now we did sort of call this out immediately. Of course, we've been following Flippy for about 5 or 6 years. And pretty much, I'm almost positive that the very first episode we did when the pandemic started, we made the call that this is Flippy's moment, and we are now moving into the age of robot labor.
Yeah, someone should go listen to the Quarantine Cry Radio or whatever we called it.
It is our Corona Cry special, our very first live show.
I'm almost certain around that, either that episode or even before that or maybe soon after, we were calling this is going to, especially if they shut everything down, restaurants, stores, everything else, this is where the robots can really take over.
Yep.
And it's another one of those things where we called it.
Called it.
There you go. I am happy though. I'm happy that Flippy is getting his due, because usually first to market, it's kind of a dangerous place to be in, and especially with sort of the Chinese model of stealing intellectual property and creating a cheaper version of an American product to gain market share. There was a very real possibility that Flippy would have been sort of replaced with, I don't know, Wacky or something.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, like some kind of
mean?
other company that comes in, some Chinese company that comes in to take
and
over.
It doesn't have to be Chinese. Could have been whatever.
Yeah,
but Flippy,
Chinese.
the OG Flippy, kept his place. He's still the man coming in and saving all these poor potato peelers from the horrors of having a job.
He definitely has the first mover advantage. And remember all the PR that they did? They put him in a Dodgers uniform. They did all kinds of stuff to get him out there.
Oh, they've been doing a great job over there.
They had a PR team.
I will say, and we must recognize, we have a complicated relationship with robots, and Flippy in particular. So we want to recognize that this is sort of part of the broader agenda, of course, get the humans dependent on things like unemployment insurance, universal basic income, and
machines.
The robots doing sort of the unskilled labor, although I don't think that's a fair name for it for our dear beloved potato peelers. But to the government, it's considered unskilled labor. Replacing all the unskilled labor with robots, getting everybody hooked on a monthly government check. And for the one-time affordable price of giving up all your freedom and individual choice in your life. So Flippy is doing his part in the new world order.
Yep. And it's going to be making our food, and we're going to be paying it in Bitcoin, and then
We're all going to die.
That's just how it's going to go.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
All right. Well, I just want to mention that I did make a little isolation of a song that was very popular back in the day when I was a little bit younger. It was by a band called Dashboard Confessional. The ladies love the song. They love the guy. The song was called Vindicated, and I think we can use it quite a bit on the show.
Vindicated!
Yeah.
I think that's short enough to get past the copyright.
It's a 1 second
algorithms.
clip. If it gets caught, and I use the acoustic version, not the studio version there, so hopefully the sound waves don't trigger the overlords.
I'm sure YouTube will be happy to let us know immediately after this stream ends.
Yeah. All right. Well, moving on here. Speaking about the world ending.
NEPHILIM update. NEPHILIM update. NEPHILIM update.
I was scrolling through Twitter, and I saw some people sharing this back on May 26th. 48-49, Senate defeats Lee. Oh, this is the wrong one. There it is. 48-49, Senate defeats Braun. Amendment to prohibit certain types of human-animal chimeras. 60 votes were needed for passage. And it was like, huh? What are they talking about? Well, good old Fox News can tell us a little bit more. FoxNews.com. Senate Dems reject ban on certain types of human-animal hybrid experiments. And it states here.
Of course.
Yeah, it's good job, Democrats. The Senate narrowly rejected an amendment geared toward criminalizing participation in research that created certain chimeras or human-animal hybrids, an expectation that the federal government could lift a moratorium on funding for those projects. A party line vote saw 48 Republicans supporting the measure. The 49 nays included 47 Democrats and 2 left-leaning independents. Senator Bernie Sanders, Bernie wants the upgrade is what it is. And Angus King. I don't know who Angus King is, but sounds like a steak.
Sounds democratic.
Sounds like independent though. And Senator Tom Tillis, RNC Joe Manchin, and Marsha Blackburn didn't vote. Proposed this week, the Endless Frontier Act also contained language barring the transfer of a human embryo to a non-human womb and vice versa. Quote, we shouldn't need to clarify in law that creating animal-human hybrids or chimeras is ethically unthinkable, but sadly the need for that very clear distinction has arrived, said Senator James Lankford, as a Republican for Oklahoma, who co-sponsored the bill with Senators Mike Braun and Steve Daines. Braun said, quote, human life is distinct and sacred, and research that creates an animal-human hybrid or transfers a human embryo into an animal womb or vice versa should be completely prohibited, and engaging in such unethical experiments should be a crime.
Ooh.
Going after it. The legislation would impose penalties as high as $1 million or, quote, the amount equal to twice the amount of the gross pecuniary gain. It also provided up to 10 years in prison. The bill was intended as a check on the NIH, the National Institute of Health, potentially lifting its moratorium on research utilizing chimeras. On Wednesday, the International Society for Stem Cell Research released guidance backing chimeric research. Quote, chimeric embryo and in utero research should proceed for the minimum time necessary to achieve the scientific aim, the organization's guidelines read. Quote, this research must proceed incrementally, stopping at well-defined time points to assess the degree and scope of chimerism during development before proceeding to full gestation, if full gestation is among the well-justified goals of the research. To avoid unpredictable and widespread chimerism, researchers should endeavor to use targeted chimerism strategies to limit chimerism to a particular organ system or region of the gestating chimeric animal. End quote.
Yeah.
Yep, there you go. I mean, that's it.
Sounds pretty straightforward. Don't mix animals with humans.
I mean, yeah. I went into the actual bill and I wanted to see exactly what they were looking to amend here, and all the links will be in canarycrynewstalk.com in the show notes. But yeah, the article laid it out, but I thought it was kind of interesting because under Section 1132, Prohibition on Human-Animal Chimeras. It goes through the details here. I'll read some of them. Number 1, human embryo. The term human embryo means an organism of the species Homo sapiens during the earliest stages of development from 1 cell up to 8 weeks after conception. And then 2A, a human embryo into which a non-human cell or cells or the component parts thereof have been introduced to render the embryo's membership in the species Homo sapiens uncertain. And then it goes into the thing that really interests me was I know they're talking about human-animal hybrids, but you look at the language and it just says non-human. For example, in under D here, an embryo produced by introducing a non-human nucleus into a human egg, or an embryo produced by introducing a human nucleus into a non-human egg, or an embryo containing at least haploid sets of chromosomes from both a human and a non-human life form. Like, he just keeps using that word non-human, which made me think, it's kind of weird.
Aliens.
I'm just saying, if, as Elon Musk said,
where are the aliens?
Maybe they're, combining us with it.
Yeah.
And I think
some of the also just to give another aspect of that might just be an easier way than listing animal, plant, fungus, bacteria, virus.
Then why is it? Yeah, but then why is it animal? It specifically says human animal at the top. So I know that the assumption is that it's all animals, but then if you say non-human, it can encompass all that you said plus anything that's a non-human biological entity.
I'm following you.
The prohibition on certain human-animal chimeras. In general, it shall be unlawful for any person to knowingly or otherwise affecting interstate commerce, which I thought was kind of interesting. Create or attempt to create a prohibited human-animal chimera, transfer or attempt to transfer a human embryo into a non-human womb, transfer or attempt to transfer a non-human embryo into a human womb, or transport or receive for any purpose a prohibited human-animal chimera. So, I mean, the idea here is to have it,
they
to
get
even
you on
have
possession
one.
charges.
Yeah, to even have one, it's illegal. In general, whoever violates these subsections will be fined under this title. And then in the article went into some of the things that can happen to you, including $1 million fine or 10 years in prison. And then it goes into some of the statements provided by Mr. Braun here. And, the thing that really is interesting to me, in the quote, he says, "All life is sacred. It is Congress's responsibility to enact common sense bioethics," which is, take away the bipartisan or take away the partisanship in this. Makes sense. All life is sacred. Congress should enact some basic bioethics. I think it's funny that the Democrats were like, no.
We don't want any basic bioethics. We don't like it.
Of course, the Democrats would say that. The demon rats, right? So there you go. That's the story. And all I have to say is it's starting to sound a little bit like the days of Noah.
But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
That's right. And just like in the days of Noah, Guns, I think it's time for some vindication.
Ooh, vindicate. Oh, I gotta have it more ready. I didn't know you were gonna go there. So we're vindicated. About all kinds of stuff, including in the world of the vaccines.
Waccine.
A pandemic special.
I wanna die or be decapacitated. I wanna be vaccinated.
Woo! Okay, folks, first on the list, we've got an article here from Politico.com. And the headline is Facebook no longer treating man-made COVID as a crackpot idea. Facebook will no longer take down posts claiming that COVID-19 was man-made or manufactured, a company spokesperson told Politico on Wednesday, a move that acknowledges the renewed debate about the virus's origins. A narrative in flux. Facebook's policy tweak arrives as support surges in Washington for a fuller investigation into the origins of COVID-19 after the Wall Street Journal reported that 3 scientists at the Wuhan Institute of Virology were hospitalized in late 2019 with symptoms consistent with the virus. The findings have reinvigorated the debate about the so-called Wuhan lab leak. Whoa, you can't call it a Wuhan lab leak. That's racist.
Wuhan lab leak theory, yeah.
Yeah. Once dismissed as a fringe conspiracy theory. I feel like we're going to be hearing that term a lot more in the coming months and years. Once dismissed as a fringe conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
President Joe Biden said Wednesday that he has ordered the intelligence community to redouble its efforts to find out the virus's origin and report back in 90 days. Biden also revealed that the intelligence community is split between 2 theories about COVID-19's origin and said the review will examine, quote, whether it emerged from human contact with an infected animal or from a laboratory accident. Bipartisan support is also building on Capitol Hill for congressional inquiry. I just want to just point something out, and you let me know what you think.
Okay.
It says here... Hold on, let me find it. Okay, so it's specific. Biden also revealed that the intelligence community is split. Now, when we say intelligence community, what do we usually think of? We're thinking CIA, FBI, maybe some Five Eyes organizations with our Five Eyes partners, something like that. You know, intelligence. Now, why would the intelligence community be split between a laboratory accident or an infected animal? Basically, an accidental natural emergence of COVID or the laboratory accident.
Because
you know what I mean? Does this make sense? Like, why would the CIA... It's not their place to have an opinion if a pangolin and a bat became best friends with a Chinese child and spread it.
It's because it's showing the faction complicit with the CCP and those that are not, probably.
Oh,
or something to that effect.
Okay. Yeah, there it is. Okay. The other option. So yes, I think what you're saying is right. So the intelligence agencies, the reason they would be split between that is they are complicit or incentivized to regurgitate the CCP storyline, which would be an intelligence operation that is within their purview.
Yeah.
Or I was thinking maybe Biden is including the NIH or CDC or a health organization in the intelligence community. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that would be more their concern. But I think yours makes more sense. But the focus of late has been on the notion that the virus may have accidentally escaped from the lab, not that it was man-made or purposefully released. The focus as of late. As of late, cons, this is new news. Theories that could now propagate on Facebook. Genetic studies of the virus have found flaws in the protein it uses to bind to human cells. Those are features that someone trying to engineer a bioweapon likely would have avoided. Shifting definitions. Yeah.
Wouldn't it be the other way around? If
it sounds exactly opposite. It sounds like double-speak nonsense.
If you wanted to create a bioweapon, you would want to study the.
There would be flaws. If you had human beings going in and tampering with a protein, that's when you get flaws. I don't know. I'm not. Let's keep moving. Yeah. Those are shifting definitions on social media. So the point is right there is so this is Politico, remember?
Yeah.
So they're coming out and saying, don't worry. Facebook is allowing a theory that was once considered a fringe conspiracy theory, but we are still Politico. So, just keep in mind. that we don't believe in that crazy stuff. We're just
staying
reporting.
woke. We're staying woke.
Shifting definitions on social media. Okay, we like this. Facebook announced in February that it had expanded the list of misleading health claims that it would remove from its platforms to include those asserting that COVID-19 is man-made or manufactured. The tech giant has updated its policies against false and misleading coronavirus information, including its running list of debunked claims over the course of the pandemic in consultation with the global health officials. But a Facebook spokesperson on Wednesday, but a Facebook's spokesperson said Wednesday that the origin language had been stricken from that list due to the renewed debate about the virus's roots. Quote, in light of ongoing investigations into the origin of COVID-19 and in consultation with public health experts, we will no longer remove the claim that COVID-19 is man-made from our apps. The spokesperson said in an email statement, quote, we're continuing to work with health experts to keep pace with the evolving nature of the pandemic and regularly update our policies as new facts and trends emerge. Then it goes into policies under the microscope. It's only a few more here. Social media companies have faced intense pressure from congressional Democrats to crack down more forcefully on misinformation about the virus throughout the pandemic, with House lawmakers hauling in the CEOs of Facebook, Twitter, and Google for a hearing on the matter in March. Other platforms, including Twitter, have said that misleading claims about the virus's roots may also violate its policies. But Facebook's move marks the first major sign prominent social media companies are revisiting those rules as the Wuhan lab leak theory gains attention. Asked whether Twitter plans to revisit its own rules on COVID-19 origin claims, a company spokesperson said late Wednesday they had no updates to share at this time. Twitter continues to work in close consultation with global public health authorities on coronavirus misinformation issues, the spokesperson said in a statement. A YouTube spokesperson confirmed, listen up, YouTube. A YouTube spokesperson confirmed in a statement Thursday that claims that the virus was man-made or originated in a lab accident do not violate the platform's policies because, quote, there has not been consensus on its origins.
No consensus? Really? What have we been saying this entire time for like a year and a half? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, I think, just to go back a couple paragraphs here, social media companies have faced intense pressure from congressional Democrats to crack down more forcefully on misinformation. So, really, this is something that, and it's not just us, but this theory has been talked about since the very beginning when, the evidence that it was a lab leak was first, available to the public. And no, congressional Democrats didn't like that because Trump said it.
That's another big part of it.
It was just a big reaction to Orange Man bad. And lo and behold, a politically motivated censoring of legitimate scientific inquiry, and that resulted in a year of demonizing individuals in America and around the world who questioned the official narrative when policy leaders or health officials said, no. Don't look with your eyes. Just listen to what I tell you. Don't believe the things you see. Just believe what we tell you. And so this is a fun reversal of the sort of forced mind control and information manipulation that we've been going through for a year.
Yeah, and I was listening to a little bit more of a mainstream podcast. It's not like mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
And they more or less believe more, what the mainstream is, the narrative that is peddled out there.
Yeah.
And one of the co-hosts of the show was asking the question because they were talking about this whole change in the approach or the origin story of the virus. What does it matter? It's already out there. It's killed hundreds of thousands, millions of people worldwide. What difference does it make? And it was really frustrating to listen to the podcast because it was like, for us, you and I, Basil, we've been looking at this thing for a long time.
Yeah.
And we have ways to answer questions like that. And they can come up with anything other than maybe that, hey, it was an Orange Man bad thing. That's why they stuck to one narrative because, Trump had mentioned it came from the lab. And that's partly true. But the implications moving forward are that if it is proven that it came from a lab, there are legal ramifications that could be placed upon China.
Yeah.
Or pursuits that can be made. And, we don't know to what capacity. But it's interesting that it's caught up, within this last year. It took a year to get to this point, over a year to get to this point. What else is going to be part of the vindication process for those of us who have remained as objective as possible with this whole topic? And that's regarding the vaccines. And that's where I get nervous. I'm like, all right, they can go after
we
China.
We're right about this.
Yeah, we don't want to be right about some of the.
We don't want to be right about everything, unfortunately, because that makes things really scary.
Yeah.
But going back to the question again, it's one thing for us who have been following this now vindicated theory. But the question, well, what does it matter? Yada, yada, yada. And you mentioned the legal liabilities. Yes, the geopolitical tensions that would cause with China and literally the entire world at a time when they're trying to become, the world leader in all sorts of different categories. If they're seen as being clumsy sort of, mad scientists, that's going to hurt that reputation. But it's also going to shift reputation and the power structure just in the U.S. Government. I mean, Fauci, of course, with the funding streams, which has been coming out more publicly lately, thanks to Rand Paul. Grilling him on it and bringing up that question, making the media defend Fauci at all costs and try to, wiggle out of their own corner that they backed themselves into for the past year and a half. It really is much like how, oh gosh, I don't know if I want to get into this, but, the question comes up with flat Earth theory. There is a segment of people who are like, well, who cares what shape the Earth is? It doesn't matter. What even matters? And then the flat earthers will say, well, because it changes everything, not just like the shape of the Earth, but then like you've been lied to your entire life and the power structures are so invested in this and that. We're not taking a stance right now on flat Earth theory, but that part of the conversation is sort of parallel to this. If indeed it was, if it comes out publicly as for sure being a lab leak from China, it will change a lot of people's minds about the power structures that they trusted for the past year in a very vulnerable time of everybody's lives.
And to tie a red string from this story to the previous one, the NEPHILIM update, it was China that had the human monkey chimera like 2-3 years ago, and it was done for vaccine research.
Right.
So there's a lot of stuff going on here that it gets into the realm of genetics and genetic tampering and vaccines and virus, and the implications are much larger than just who started the virus, because it gets into the ethical, bioethical, and legislative side of things, and ultimately a geopolitical tension and so forth. So
it's all coming together.
It's all coming together, and the end of the world is today.
Clip. I gotta, that clip.
What clip?
It's from oh my gosh, I can't remember. I can't believe I can't remember it. The llama movie.
The llama movie.
Somebody help me. The Emperor's New Groove.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Emperor's New Groove. Yeah, all coming together. Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we should get that because I've been saying it often, and you know what? We should just take it straight from the source.
Yeah.
Will somebody clip that for us? It's all coming together thing.
Or find a timestamp or something.
Clip it, send it in. Appreciate it. All right.
Okay, moving forward here. This is Yahoo News, actually a New York Times article that's been mirrored here on Yahoo. CDC will not investigate mild infections in vaccinated Americans.
What?
Why?
Why not?
Why not? Let's find out. Julie Cohn was fully vaccinated when she went to cheer at her 12-year-old son's basketball game in March. Midway through the match, he asked to remove his mask because he was getting so hot. Were they playing basketball with masks?
Yes.
What in the world? Come on. Come on, man.
Come on, man.
You know what's funny? Just real quick to connect another red piece of string.
It's just a mess
The Chinese story recently came out about, they were making children run with masks on, and a couple of them died.
Yeah.
And China had to stop making children do sports with masks on.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. At least give him, like one of those apocalyptic gas masks, so that...
Yeah, the vents.
Yeah, with the vents. She thought little of it. That makes me sad. 3 days later, he had a sore throat. He tested positive for coronavirus, as did his younger brother a few days later. Cohn cared for them, thinking she was protected, but she woke up with what seemed like a head cold on March 28th. The next day, she too tested positive from a PCR test with over 35 cycle threshold. I added that last part. No vaccine provides perfect protection, and so-called breakthrough infections after coronavirus vaccination are rare and unlikely to lead to serious illness. Federal health officials have told fully vaccinated people they no longer need to wear masks or maintain social distance because they are protected, nor do they need to be tested or quarantined after an exposure unless they develop symptoms. Now the CDC has stopped investigating breakthrough infections among fully vaccinated people unless they become so sick that they are hospitalized or die. Hey, when are you going to start researching this? If you die...
When they die.
If you die, we'll look into it.
We're all going to die.
Earlier this year, the agency was monitoring all cases. Through the end of April, when some 101 million Americans had been vaccinated, the CDC had received 10,262 reports of breakthrough infections from 46 states and territories, a number that was very likely, quote, a substantial undercount, according to CDC report issued on Tuesday. Genomic sequencing could be done on only 555, or about 5% of the reported breakthrough cases. Over half of them involved so-called variants of concern, including the B117 and the B1351 variants. Some 995 people were known to have been hospitalized, and 160 had died, though not always because of COVID-19, the new study said.
No, now we don't count them the right way.
Yeah.
Now we don't
The
count them.
median
Okay.
age of those who died was 82. I wonder if William Shakespeare was included. Probably not in that list because he just
I
passed away.
believe, and I could be corrected on this. I believe the current median age of coronavirus death is like 78. It's somewhere in the 70s. So
Is there a number on the ones who have died after being vaccinated though?
I think that's what this one is.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, 82. So basically, the vaccine just gave us 3 more years of life from COVID.
The numbers suggest that the vaccines are highly effective and generally working as expected, generally. On May 1st, May Day, Illuminati Day, the agency decided to investigate only the most severe breakthrough infection cases, while still collecting voluntary reports on breakthrough cases from state and local health departments. The agency will carry out vaccine effectiveness studies that include data on breakthrough cases, but only in limited populations, such as healthcare workers and essential workers. The essential workers thing, that really annoys me at this point. It's like, what work is like not essential? Anyway, older adults and residents at long-term care facilities, a spokeswoman said.
Yeah,
just a spokeswoman.
A spokeswoman. Yeah, so to put it simply, they're just going to stop counting people who get COVID after getting the vaccine.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's just what it is. And you know what that means? It means the vaccine is suddenly more effective. We haven't had any numbers on people on breakthrough cases recently. So, yeah, vaccines just keep getting better.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I'm going to skip a few paragraphs here. Quote, "We are driving blind and we will miss a lot of signals," said Ali Mokdad, an epidemiologist at the University of Washington who spent many years as a senior scientist at the CDC. "The CDC is a surveillance agency," Mokdad said. "How can you do surveillance and pick one number and not look at the whole?" The change was announced quietly in a statement on the agency's website this month. It said the switch, quote, "will help maximize the quality of the data collected on cases of greatest clinical and public health importance, like dead people."
Yeah, so suddenly having a mild case of COVID is not of public health importance
Not
to
a
them.
big deal. Not a big deal. Yeah. So it was a big deal. Last year shut down the world. But now, even after a vaccine, if you get it, if you don't die, it's not a big deal.
I want to respond real quick to NEPHILIM. He says, Basil, not counting or just not looking into the cases deeper. Sounded like the latter to me. So, yes, it sounds like they try very hard to make it sound like, oh, they're just not looking deeper into it. But it says right here, they're still collecting voluntary reports on breakthrough cases from state and local health departments. So they will collect voluntary reports, but they are not, if you send them a notice, they'll put the notice in their filing cabinet. Let's see here. Then it later says, so there's just some very specific language that made it sound like the former NEPHILIM, and that's kind of the key you got to pay attention to. Collect data on breakthrough cases, but only in limited populations. So they're not doing the studies that include data on breakthrough cases in all populations, but just healthcare workers, older adults, residents, long-term care facilities, stuff like that. So, yes, it is mushy language faux show, but I think that they are sneaking out of the fact that they are going to not be counting even more than they weren't counting before.
Yeah. It's the same thing as last episode.
It's an easy thing to see. We'll just wait some time and see what the numbers they report are.
Yeah. A little bit of a plausible deniability aspect to it too, where it's like if they don't report it because they don't want to make it, because if their presuppositions are the vaccines work, and then if we don't have to report it, then let's not.
And if you're not testing, if you get sick and you're not testing because you're vaccinated, then, your case isn't going to be counted. And NEPHILIM, by the way, is our resident microbiologist for 25 plus years. So we like to have these conversations with him. He responds in quotes, voluntary. Yes, the states, specifically the blue states, are not going to admit that vax doesn't work. Right. And that's the point. Yeah. They're not. They technically, yes, will still count it if you send it to them, but and that's voluntary. Nobody is required to report mild COVID cases anymore.
Right. Just a couple more parts here. Asked to explain the change, a CDC spokeswoman said no vaccine was 100% effective, but that the number
except for the Moderna vaccine in children, they say.
Oh, that's right.
Moderna says their vaccine is 100% effective in children 12 to 15.
Yeah.
So, okay, who's lying? Moderna or CDC spokeswoman?
Well, the CDC spokeswoman is not just including children. So that's his or her little out.
I guess you can average it out. Okay.
Yeah, it takes it off of 100 if you include the older population there.
I don't know. She still says no vaccine was 100% effective.
The change means the agency will continue to investigate cases like the death of a vaccinated resident of a nursing home in Kentucky, but not the infections of more than 20 other vaccinated residents and employees in the same home who did not require hospitalization. It is not clear whether the agency will investigate the outbreak that infected 8 vaccinated members of the New York Yankees organization, because most of them did not develop COVID-19 symptoms at all. Gleyber Torres, the Yankees' two-time All-Star shortstop, tested positive after vaccination, as did 3 coaches and 4 staff members.
Whoa, that's a big percentage of people in a small group getting COVID after being vaccinated.
Yeah.
That would throw off, how to lie with statistics. What are they? Probably got 50 people in that group with the team and the coaches and everybody.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it was like 10 of them got it. That's a 20% infection rate. That's pretty high.
Someone's going to throw a wild pitch at this guy. You the Rona guy? Get out of here.
And Numati responds, isn't the vast majority of all COVID mild anyways? Yes, that's true. There's somewhere between 4 and 7% of COVID cases end up in hospitalization. We're not counting deaths at this point, but a hospitalization case, a bad case, is 4 to 7% of COVID cases, which means 93 to 96% of all COVID in the entire world has been mild. And so we're just going to stop counting 96% of all COVID.
And this is the part that's infuriating here. Okay, there's many parts that are infuriating, but this next quote is also just as bad. Quote, we have to prioritize what we're doing. Why didn't they prioritize this last year? And the priority is to understand the cases associated with severe disease, end quote. Dr. Catherine Edwards, a professor at pediatrics at Vanderbilt University School of Medicine who studies vaccine safety and effectiveness, said of the CDC, or of the new CDC policy. So yeah, I mean, again, why didn't they prioritize that last year in the people? If you got it, then you would lock down, go quarantine. Like, even if you had no symptoms, it was go ban yourself, Yeah. But now it's
because they couldn't destroy the economy.
Yeah, I know.
And
ridiculous.
Make billionaires a gazillionaires.
Yeah. Some private healthcare systems are also studying vaccination failures among employees that will yield useful data, she said, though such studies are not necessarily reflective of broader trends, of course. Quote, it's such a rare phenomenon and it doesn't change the trajectory of the pandemic, said Dr. Amesh Adalja, a senior scholar at Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security. As long as the disease is not causing people to require hospitalization, quote, there's marginal value to tracking it, he said, adding, quote, it doesn't have the ability to crush the hospital system anymore.
Yeah, which I see their point of view, which is like, oh, well, it's more about hospitals and resources, so why waste our time?
I guess
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. I was just going to say, my thing is, why didn't they have this level of concern or not concern last year? Why is it all changing after the vaccines roll out?
Well, we know the answer to that, but it's a good rhetorical question. Oh, I forgot what we were talking about. Wow, I just had a brain fart. Read that last sentence again.
I don't know where I was. Let's see.
Okay, we're done. We just got too distracted.
It doesn't have the ability to crush the hospital system anymore.
Ah, right. So from that perspective, I mean, it makes sense. But and so to a general mainstream-minded person, they read that, they say, oh, makes sense. I'm going to defend that forever and not think about anything else. But they don't take into account that that's incredibly beneficial for those trying to continue a narrative that vaccines will save humanity, and if you don't get a vaccine, you're just a silly conspiracy theorist and some sort of dirty animal, and we need to sequester you from the rest of society. Yeah. It just helps that narrative along, which, of course, is also the point.
Yeah.
So
They mentioned the Rockefeller University, which routinely tests students and employees for the coronavirus test on its campus in New York. Breakthrough infections were identified in 2 women who had been fully vaccinated and had developed robust immune responses after inoculation, according to a study published in the New England Journal of Medicine. Both of the vaccinated women, a 55-year-old and a 65-year-old, developed mild symptoms of COVID-19. Viral sequencing revealed they had been infected with variants. Quote, one of the individuals had an extraordinarily high viral load, said Dr. Robert Darnell, an investigator at the Howard Hughes Medical Institute, and the paper's senior author. The patient is not known to have spread the disease to anyone else, he said.
Yeah.
Still, he
All
has...
right.
And there's one more part here, because they always...
Okay.
I just want to quote the doctors that are skeptical of this, because they kind of sprinkle it around the article. You know, they don't... There's not like a whole section to make, you know, because then it'll seem like there's more people against this concept than not. Diana Barrett, founder of Survivor Corps, a group of people who have had COVID-19, has called for establishing a national registry of all people with COVID-19, including those who had mild and asymptomatic cases, in order to gather as much data as possible for future research. Many scientists agree collecting more data is preferable to collecting less. Quote, "The virus is constantly changing, and we need to stay 3 steps ahead of it," said Michael Kinch, an immunologist and associate vice chancellor,
May I real quick? Because I found the problem. So the article is about not counting breakthrough cases. This is people who have been vaccinated.
Yeah.
Now, this alternative that they just presented is, oh no, we're going to make a list of everyone who's ever had COVID, which is a horrible, terrifying proposition. You never want to make a list of people for any reason, but especially, one that could be used as to discriminate like that. And so instead of the option of being, oh, hey, yeah, maybe we should count all the vaccinated breakthrough cases instead of not counting them. It's, the reasonable response to this problem. But they go so far to the other side as to scare people away. It's like, oh, you want to count cases? Okay, well, why don't we just count every case and take their name and their address, and then we'll put them in a little box, and then we'll just study them forever. Is that what you want? It's like, whoa, no, okay, hold on.
Like children fighting,
Yeah, right.
Their logic here at the end saying that if there's variants, how do we see it coming if we're not collecting everything? So you're right, it's kind of like a false dichotomy there.
It is.
You're either gonna
reducto ad absurdum.
Yeah,
they took the concept of, oh, maybe we should count breakthrough cases to its most absurd logical illogical conclusion, which is, let's put it, everybody in a petri dish. Yeah. All right. Well, Gons, speaking of mild Rona, this goes together very well. We got a paper here from ScienceDaily.com. I guess it's an article. Or a paper. I think it's a paper.
It's a paper,
The title is Mild COVID-19 Induces Lasting Antibody Protection. Study finds. Ooh, this is completely opposite of what we've been told for a year, which is, if you get COVID, you don't stay immune, you lose it. And I think the average time they were saying you lose your immunity in 3 months, but some people were losing their immunity in a week or something, or 3 weeks. So turns out mild COVID-19 induces lasting antibody protection. Imagine that. Our natural immune system actually does the job. Months after recovering from mild cases of COVID-19, people still have immune cells in their body pumping out antibodies against the virus that caused COVID-19, according to a study from researchers at Washington University School of Medicine in St. Louis. Such cells could persist for a lifetime.
Shut down this paper. Who wrote this?
What is this fake news? Churning out antibodies all the while. Yeah, I'll just get a little bit into the paper here.
Yeah.
The findings, published May 24th in the journal Nature, so this is a brand new study, suggests that mild cases of COVID-19 leave those infected with lasting antibody protection, and that repeated bouts of illness are likely to be uncommon. Quote, last fall, there were reports of antibodies wane quickly after infection with the virus that causes COVID-19, and mainstream media interpreted that to mean that immunity was not long-lived, said senior author Ali Elebedi, PhD, an associate. What?
Elbedi,
okay. An associate professor of pathology and immunology of medicine and molecular. Jeez, these titles of these academic people is crazy. Okay. Ali Elbedi, PhD, an associate professor of pathology and immunology of medicine and of molecular microbiology. Quote, but that's a misinterpretation of the data. It's normal for antibody levels to go down after acute infection, but they don't go down to zero. They plateau. Here we found antibody producing cells in people 11 months after the first symptoms. Now, granted, we've barely had more than 11 months to even do this science. So this is pretty good news.
Yeah.
These cells will live and produce antibodies for the rest of people's lives. That's strong evidence for long-lasting immunity. During a viral infection, antibody-producing immune cells rapidly multiply and circulate in the blood, driving antibodies levels sky high. Once the infection is resolved, most such cells die off and blood antibody levels drop. A small population of antibody-producing cells called long-lived plasma cells migrate to the bone marrow and settle in, where they continually secrete low levels of antibodies into the bloodstream to help guard against another encounter with the virus. The key to figuring out whether COVID-19 leads to long-lasting antibody protection, LB realized, lies in the bone marrow. To find out whether those who have recovered from mild cases of COVID-19 harbor long-lived plasma cells that produce antibodies specifically targeted to SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes COVID-19. Elbedi teamed up with co-author Iskra Pusic, MD. Oh gosh, here we go. An associate professor of medicine. LB already was working with co-authors Rachel Presti, MD, PhD, an associate professor of medicine, and Jane O'Halloran, MD, PhD, an assistant professor of medicine, on a project to track antibody levels in blood samples from COVID-19 survivors. The team already had enrolled 77 participants who were giving blood samples at 3-month intervals, starting about a month after initial infection. Most participants had had mild cases of COVID-19. Only 6 had been hospitalized. With Pusic's help, Elbedi and colleagues obtained bone marrow from 18 of the participants 7 or 8 months after the initial infections. My understanding is that getting your bone marrow drawn is
I was gonna say that's like
painful.
I don't know.
So it doesn't surprise me that people didn't come back after 7 or 8 months.
Yeah,
it's a pretty I think. I mean, I could be wrong, but
maybe there's new tech. Maybe there's a flippy arm that gets in there.
I'm getting this from watching House MD.
Oh God,
that's who I remember.
That's your knowledge.
Yeah, they pulled bone marrow a few times.
The show ER is your source of knowledge for
the actors. Really made me think that it's a painful procedure. Here we go. 5 of them came back 4 months later and provided a second bone marrow sample for comparison. The scientists also obtained bone marrow from 11 people who had never had COVID-19. As expected, antibody levels in the blood of the COVID-19 participants dropped quickly in the first few months after infection and then mostly leveled off, with some antibodies detectable even 11 months after infection. Further, 15 of the 19 bone marrow samples from people who had COVID-19 contained antibody-producing cells, specifically targeting the virus that causes COVID-19. Such cells could still be found 4 months later in the 5 people who came back. Okay, this is getting a little bit of a tangled web of numbers, but stick with us here. Such cells could still be found 4 months later in the 5 people who came back to provide a second bone marrow sample. None of the 11 people who had never had COVID-19 had such antibody-producing cells in their bone marrow. Quote, people with mild cases of COVID-19 clear the virus from their bodies 2 to 3 weeks after infection, so there would be no virus driving an active immune response 7 or 11 months after infection, Elbedi said. Quote, these cells are not dividing, they are quiescent, just sitting in the bone marrow and secreting antibodies. They have been doing that ever since the infection resolved, and they will continue doing that indefinitely. There's 2 more paragraphs. People who were infected and never had symptoms also may be left with long-lasting immunity. That's what's the term for them? Asymptomatic. The researchers speculated, but it's yet to be investigated whether those who endured a more severe infection would be protected against future bout of disease, they said. Quote, it could go either way, said first author Jackson Turner, PhD, and instructor in pathology and immunology. Quote, inflammation plays a major role in severe COVID-19, and too much inflammation can lead to defective immune responses. But on the other hand, the reason why people get really sick is often because they have a lot of virus in their bodies, and having a lot of virus around can lead to a good immune response. So it's not clear. We need to replicate the study in people with moderate to severe infections to understand whether they are likely to be protected from reinfection. Elbedi and colleagues now are studying whether vaccination also induces long-lived antibody-producing cells. Okay, Elbedi, keep us posted.
Yeah.
But there you go. Headline news. Immune system does its thing. No need.
It does what it's supposed to. Meaning,
imagine that.
Which again goes to show that this whole thing is such a medical, tyrannical, nonsense propaganda thing. Because, throughout, and this had been pointed out multiple times, but at no point during this entire year were mainstream media like, "Hey, let's get healthy. Eat healthier, go exercise, boost your immune system." None of that. It was all go hide. All the things that would make our immune system worse, right? Stay indoors, wear a mask, don't touch anybody.
And especially saying, even if you've already had it, you're still at danger.
Still spread it to people. And this is the craziest thing about this study here, this paper that came out of Washington University School of Medicine, is comparing it to an article we reported on 3 episodes ago, on episode number 340, titled Dope Reboot. And the headline for that one from thedailymail.co.uk, COVID antibody tests cannot prove you are immune to the virus from prior infection or vaccination. FDA warns. Ooh, scary FDA.
Yeah.
So,
and it's also connected to the story about how people who had mild COVID cases and then get the vax are super vaxxed.
Right.
It's like, yeah.
I mean, it's just out of control. This is ridiculous. But anyway, not surprising whatsoever. This crazy world. Okay, a couple more stories here. This one is from CNN, our Communist News Network. Alabama governor signs bill banning COVID-19 vaccine passports. We have a few stories here. Well, I should have reordered some of these stories, but we have a couple of them that represent the resistance happening with the whole COVID thing.
Gives me hope.
Yeah, Melbourne went into their 4th lockdown.
That is crazy.
And there's some pretty sizable pushback over there, so pray for the folks in Australia.
Yeah, and I think Canada is still kind of pushing around that type of thing too.
They're pretty tyrannical over there too. But at least in the U.S., we can say we got some people that are pushing back on some of these other.
God, I love America, man. We got a lot. We're not perfect, but the fact that this is real diversity is what this is. When you can have in the same country a state that wants to, lock down everybody 24/7 and make you get a stamp on your forehead to be able to leave your house, just a stone's throw away from a state that says that's insane, we're not going to do that, is just a beautiful diversity in the American political system.
And remember that this is CNN, so just to keep in mind. Alabama Republican Governor Kay Ivey on Monday signed a bill into law banning the use of so-called vaccine passports in the state. The law, which went into effect immediately, prohibits any government entity from issuing vaccine passports while blocking businesses from requiring any such documentation. Quote, I am supportive of a voluntary vaccine, and by signing this bill into law, I am only further solidifying that conviction, Ivey said in a statement after signing the legislation. Quote, I made the choice to get the COVID-19 vaccine and glad for the peace of mind it brings. It encourages any Alabamian who has not gotten their shot to roll up their sleeves. If you have questions, consult with your healthcare provider, or don't ask questions. As that guy from Australian, or was it South African? I think it was Australian healthcare guy.
It was Australian, yeah. Just get the jab. Don't ask questions.
I think I made an ISO of that. Let me see if I did real quick. Sorry, I'm breaking the story here. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I do have it. Here we go. Come on.
Everybody out there offered a vaccine. Don't ask any questions. Please take it.
There you go.
Don't ask any questions.
The legislation, which cleared the state legislature earlier this month, defines vaccine passports broadly as, quote, documentation of an immunization. That's not really broad. That's pretty specific, but okay. CNN. Schools in the state, quote, may continue to require a student to prove vaccination status as a condition of attendance only for a specific vaccine, only for the specific vaccines that were already required by the institution as of January 1st, 2021, provided that the institutions give an exemption for students with a medical condition or religious belief that is contrary to vaccination, according to the text of the law. Alabama is just the latest state to put restrictions on requiring proof that a person has been immunized against COVID-19. Some health experts argue that such proof of vaccination can be the ticket back to normalcy, saying it could reward people for getting vaccinated by allowing them into a crowded concert or ball game, as well as offer the vaccinated peace of mind that the person next to them has been immunized too. But critics have stressed privacy concerns and characterized vaccine passports as an overreach by authorities. Florida Republican Governor Ron DeSantis cited freedom of choice as a reason for signing legislation banning vaccine passports earlier this month, saying, quote, in Florida, your personal choice regarding vaccinations will be protected and no business or government entity will be able to deny you service based on your decision. Texas Governor, he's going after all the Republicans here. Texas Governor Greg Abbott, in a video posted to Twitter, argued that, quote, government should not require any Texan to show proof of vaccination and reveal private health information just to go about their daily lives. The Republican last month issued an executive order prohibiting government-mandated proof of inoculation in his state. On the national level, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, where's my circle back jingle here? Oh, I had it. I just had it. I just renamed it. And no, not gonna happen. Sorry. On the national level, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said in March there will be, quote, no centralized universal federal vaccination database and no federal mandate requiring everyone to obtain a single vaccination credential. We want to encourage an open marketplace with a variety of private sector companies and nonprofit coalitions developing solutions. So there you go. I mean, I was expecting a little more of a scathing thing, but it looks like they're just reporting.
The list is growing. Alabama, Texas, Florida. I want to give a shout out to Ohio, which has 3 bills going in for voting here. One of them establishes that individuals have the right to direct their own healthcare decisions, free from coercion or penalty, and with informed consent for themselves, their children, their family, and anyone for whom they stand in loco parentis. Ooh, loco parentis. And then there's one here, focuses on preventing government entities from requiring proof of COVID-19 vaccination to enter the state of Ohio and public sectors. So that's interstate travel can't be passported. And then the legislature protect individuals' inalienable rights and freedoms from the unconstitutional threat of COVID-19 vaccine mandates and discrimination. So you can't discriminate based on somebody's vaccine history, which is like, in one sense, that sounds like a good liberal Democrat bill. Don't discriminate based on somebody's medical history. But no, it takes all kinds, folks. So, yes, there you go. This is coming from Republican Representative Jennifer Gross and Representative Al Cutrona, another Republican. So Republicans protecting the freedoms over there in Ohio. So shout out to you as well.
Yep. Do you want to? I'm just going to switch the order of the articles here, just so we're staying on theme. So if you want to do that Wapo article there, sounds good. I would love to. Yes. So staying on theme here, we're coming from Washington Post. Thank you, Bezos. The headline is "Resistance to Vaccine Mandates is Building. A Powerful Network is Helping." Which sounds great, but because it's from Wapo, it's supposed to sound scary. It's supposed to sound scary and ominous. Yeah. It's like, oh, good. Resistance to vaccine mandates. That's great. Oh, my gosh, such good news. A powerful network is helping. No, in Wapo voice, it's a resistance to vaccine mandates is building, and a powerful network is helping. It will kill. The Americans lodging complaints against coronavirus vaccine mandates are a diverse lot. Something I also appreciate. Again, the diversity of the anti-vaxxers. 41% Democrats, 39% Republican, and the rest are just crazy people. A sheriff's deputy in North Carolina, nursing home employees in Wisconsin, and students at the largest university in New Jersey. But their resistance is woven together by a common thread: the involvement of a law firm closely tied to the anti-vaccine movement. Oh, it's anti-vax lawyers, of course. Attorneys from Siri and Glimstad, a New York firm that has done millions of dollars of legal work for one of the nation's foremost anti-vaccination groups, are co-counseled in a case against the Durham County Sheriff's Office. They've sent warning letters to officials in Rock County, Wisconsin, as well as to the president of Rutgers University and other schools. The legal salvos show that a groundswell against compulsory immunization is being coordinated. See, and this is where it starts. It's being coordinated. Yeah, it's being coordinated by most of the country that doesn't want compulsory immunizations. Yeah, as if the other side of the aisle, Wapo, was not also coordinated. It's totally organic, grassroots. Completely organic. Uncoordinated. The legal salvos, again, salvos, kind of a reference to like missile launchers, The legal salvos show that a groundswell against compulsory immunization is being coordinated, at least in part, from a law office on Park Avenue in Midtown Manhattan. And they offer a window into the wide-ranging and well-resourced effort to contest vaccine requirements in workplaces and other settings critical to the country's reopening. A dispute with sweeping implications for public health, state authority, and individual rights. Quote, "The message is, maybe you should reconsider because you don't want to end up in court," said Dorit Rubenstein Rice. That is not the message. A professor at the University of California's Hastings College of Law, quote, "I think that works." The Informed Consent Action Network. Ooh, what a sinister sounding group. The Informed Consent Action Network, a Texas-based nonprofit group founded by former daytime television producer Del Bigtree, that campaigns against requiring vaccines, in part by citing unsubstantiated or debunked claims about their dangers, has advertised Siri and Gilmstad's services and sought plaintiffs for challenges to mandates. Quote, "If you or anyone you know is being required by an employer or school to receive a COVID-19 vaccine, ICANN is offering to support legal action on your behalf to challenge the requirement," reads an advertisement on a blog run by Children's Health Defense, a group founded by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. that spreads what Kennedy's family members say is anti-vaccine misinformation. Oh, okay.
his family, even his family members. Even before the pandemic, legal services were core to these advocacy efforts. The nearly $1.3 million paid by ICANN to Siri and Gilmstad in 2019, the most recent year for which a tax filing is publicly available, was the nonprofit's single largest reported expenditure. At stake in this latest contest is whether hospitals, law enforcement agencies, and others can require employees to take a vaccine that was made available in an expedited process permitted during a public health emergency, and likewise, whether schools may require the shots for students, faculty, and staff members in the same way many require familiar vaccines for measles and chickenpox. There is little case law on the matter, with only one vaccine for anthrax exposure previously cleared in a similar way. Didn't the anthrax vaccine kill a bunch of people too?
Yeah, it's kind of ringing a bell.
It was a while back, but...
Yeah.
Notice how they don't mention, they call the vaccine, let's see, what do they call it here? A vaccine that was made available in an expedited process permitted during a public health emergency. They don't say experimental, rushed vaccine that isn't approved by the FDA, that is just made available because, there's a bunch of money to be made. Employers are expected to cite the expansive evidence supporting the safety and efficacy of the coronavirus vaccines, as well as the extraordinary health risks created by the current emergency, said Carrie A. Scanlon, a former Department of Justice official who oversees labor and employment litigation at Chicago-based law firm McDermott, Will and Emery. Scanlon believes employers are in a strong position to defend compulsory vaccination, but he said many might shy away from it simply to avoid costly litigation. ICANN is already claiming victory, thanks to the work of a legal team led by Siri and Galmsted's managing partner, Aaron Siri. Quote, employers and schools that previously required the COVID-19 vaccine have dropped those requirements, the group declares in its ad on the Children's Health Defense blog. Quote, this includes an employer that did so on the heels of ICANN's legal team challenging its mandating court. Neither Siri nor his co-counsel in the North Carolina case, Elizabeth A. Barem, responded to emailed questions. Bigtree did not respond to telephone messages. Kennedy said his organization is working with firms all over the country to challenge vaccine mandates and estimated he receives many hundreds of inquiries each week about potential litigation. In legal filings and letters to employers and universities, attorneys from Siri and Gilmstad focus on the expedited process known as emergency use authorization, used to clear the shots during a public health emergency. Mandating a vaccine cleared that way, they argue, in a complaint filed against the Durham County Sheriff's Department, is illegal and unenforceable. Their arguments go further, pointing to the principle of informed consent, a tenet of medical ethics addressing human experimentation enshrined in the Nuremberg Code after World War II. Their letter to the president of Rutgers University contends a mandate under these circumstances violates not just federal law, but also international laws, civil and individual rights, and public policy. Failure to rescind a requirement in Rock County, Wisconsin, the firm informed officials there, quote, will result in legal action being filed against you. Govern yourself accordingly, the February 2nd letter advised. And it goes on and on and on. It goes into quite a bit of history of anti-vax litigation. It goes into all sorts of stuff, but I think that's the important part. So there, you got people fighting the good fight out there, man. And I thought this was, again, on the list of things to feel good about in today's show. Shall we review? One, Facebook recognizing that the lab theory was not conspiracy theory and nonsense, and I'm waiting for my check for damages and mental anguish led by my posts getting taken down. CDC, let's see. Well, I guess that wasn't necessarily good news, but mild rona building lasting antibodies. We're happy to hear that our our immune system has been scientifically proven to actually, make us immune to things against all odds, if we were to believe the mainstream media. We've got states all over the country banning passports, vaccine passports. And now we have some pretty significant legal action being taken against organizations who are trying to force vaccines on people who don't want them. I mean, this is not a bad collection of stories today.
Yeah, not too bad. And I wanted to just briefly include a document and just mention it real quick. The link will be in the show notes at canarycrynewstalk.com. It's something you can share with friends and family that really just, for anybody, especially if they're trying to get their kids jabbed. It's straight off the FDA website, fda.gov, and it's a fact sheet for healthcare providers administering vaccine, similar to the ones we've seen in the past here, but I'll give you some of the highlights here. At the very top, it says the FDA has issued an emergency use authorization to permit the emergency use of the unapproved product, Pfizer BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine, for immunization to prevent COVID-19 in individuals 12 years of age and older. It also mentions important to provide to vaccine recipients, caregivers, and again, just reiterating, FDA has authorized the emergency use of the Pfizer BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine, which is not an FDA-approved vaccine. And then mandatory requirements for Pfizer BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine administration under emergency use authorization in order to mitigate the risk of using this unapproved product under EUA and to optimize the potential benefit of the jab. The following items are required. Use of unapproved Pfizer BioNTech COVID-19 vaccines for active immunization to prevent COVID-19 under this EUA, which is emergency use authorization, is limited to the following. All requirements must be met, and under that list of things that must be met, the vaccination provider is responsible for mandatory reporting of the following to the Vaccine Adverse Events Reporting System, VAERS, which include vaccine administration errors, whether or not associated with an adverse event, serious adverse events, irrespective of attribution to vaccination, cases of multisystem inflammatory syndrome, or MIS, in adults and children, and cases of COVID-19 that result in hospitalization or death. That's that thing we went over earlier, that, if you get it.
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time following. What exactly is going on? They're requiring reporting to VAERS?
Yes. As part of, it's the mandate for the administrators of the vaccine to do that.
To report to VAERS.
To report to VAERS if any of these things come up.
That's interesting. Yeah, because we've seen over and over and over VAERS being sort of debunked by the mainstream, dismissed because it's voluntarily reported, so it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. I just wanted to provide that as a resource for anybody who wants to use it to share with friends or family about the whole concept of this thing being legitimate. And then real quick before we get into a break here, this was poor hamsters, man. We talked about the inhalable CRISPR to prevent the ronas. This one, Science Advances, the advances.sciencemag.org, Inhalable Nanobody, PIN 21, prevents and treats SARS-CoV-2 infections in Syrian hamsters at ultra low doses.
What?
Yep.
What is a nanobody?
Probably just little nanoparticles.
Not nanobots.
No, not nanobots.
All right. Read it. What are we dealing with?
I'll just read the abstract here. Globally, there is an urgency to develop effective, low-cost therapeutic interventions for coronavirus disease COVID-19. We previously generated the stable and ultra-potent homotrimeric Pittsburgh Inhalable Nanobody 21. Using Syrian hamsters that model moderate to severe COVID-19 disease, we demonstrate the high efficacy of PIN21 to prevent and treat SARS-CoV-2 infection. Intranasal delivery of PIN21 at 0.6 milligrams per kilogram protects infected animals from weight loss and substantially reduces viral burdens in both lower and upper airways compared to control. Aerosol delivery of PIN21 facilitates deposition throughout the respiratory tract and dose minimization to 0.2 milligrams per kilogram. Inhalation treatment quickly reverses animals' weight loss after infection, decreases lung viral titers by 6 logs, leading to drastically mitigated lung pathology, and prevents viral pneumonia. Combined with the marked stability and low production costs, this innovative therapy may provide a convenient and low and cost-effective option to mitigate the ongoing pandemic. So just more, just breathe this.
It's like an inhaler.
Yeah, breathe this.
You get
Things
an
will be fine.
anti-COVID inhaler for hamsters.
Yeah, well, I think they're using it in hamsters now.
Yeah.
But then it'll come to humans near you. But
Okay.
It's just one of those things that's, again, the treatment of this seems so simple and straight to the point where it's like, why did we lock down again? Why did we shut down the economy? And it's just more proof that it wasn't about the virus. It was never about the virus.
So if anybody is wondering what nanobodies are, I've looked at a few different little sources just in the few seconds here we've been doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like they are always presented in the context, or at least the ones that I found, are presented in the context of antigen stuff. Antibodies and antigens. Single domain antibodies, also known as nanobodies.
There you go.
So yeah, it seems to be real. I mean, the problem is this prefix nano just makes everything sound like a spooky robot.
Yeah.
Tiny little spooky
it's just
robot
scale,
that's gonna
right?
kill you.
We're talking about scale.
It seems like some sort of antibody related antigen binding fragment thing.
Yeah. And somebody in the chat brings up a good point. Ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, where are they? I mean, those are pretty cheap, and those are much more effective.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's not about the virus. It's about how we're all gonna die.
We're all gonna die.
Well, now that we know that, we had such a heartwarming, uplifting Waccine segment, and then we got to end it with "We're all gonna die," which is true. We're all gonna die.
It's not a false statement.
No.
It depends on which death you're talking about, right? First death or second death.
There he is.
For those of you who are biblically literate.
Okay, let's take a second, take a little break, and have a producer party, baby.
Break time! Come on, take a break.
Okie dokie, folks, we're going to take a quick break. Gons, I was going to mention to you, I think maybe one of these days you should give the rundown for producership.
Oh, okay.
Because I think, you want to you can do it now if you think you can handle it. But I think people hear it from me too often. And,
It's starting to fall on deaf ears. Is that what you're saying?
Maybe just mix it up. Like you obviously get more respect around here, so maybe people will listen to you talk about the value for value system and why it's important that we start taking responsibility for our own media consumption instead of relying on advertising companies to pick and choose which things will survive to see another day.
There you go, folks. That's why.
So there you go. Just prepare yourself to give a couple of rundowns in the next few shows. Maybe we'll see if it has any sort of effect, because at least by the numbers, it seems my rundown has had diminishing returns.
Well,
anywho,
I think it's important to point something out, because most people think that the value for value model is similar to a donation. And it's not a donation. Donations are a gift to achieve a specific goal. And there's often like a goal. We need this much money for this or whatever. That's where the donation idea comes in. This is different because this is actually an exchange of value.
It's a voluntary exchange.
Yes, and the medium of exchange is content that we provide as value, and then different forms of value that we receive in return, which can be financial, treasure, your time, your talent. So yeah, I think it's an important distinction to make because most people just think it's a donation. It's a donation segment. Yeah, and that's not the philosophy behind it. So.
Yeah, and it's interesting too. Maybe we'll just have a little discussion rather than a whole breakdown today, because it's interesting. We've sort of seen this shift in society with a lot of online, because more people are creating media. There's a lot more infrastructure online for trading value. Streamers take donations for whatever they do, whether they're playing video games or, I don't know, painting Warhammer figurines or just reading the news. It's this transitionary period where really the public was and still is to a degree sort of stuck in this iron fist of the advertising industry, which has convinced us that, we don't need to take responsibility for anything. We can just kind of click around mindlessly, watch whatever. It doesn't cost us a thing except for our own consciousness, space in our brain, our worldview. These advertisements and advertising companies are in the business of building worldview, of taking advantage of lack in people's lives, of what they might not perceive as happiness. And then the advertising companies are incentivized to convince us that the world is horrible, our mattress is horrible, things are bad. But if we just spend some money on a product, then we'll be happy again. And the problem is we perceive that as being free, when in reality it is very much not free, and even worse, more expensive than if we were just to throw a couple bucks towards something that gave us some value. Yeah,
absolutely. We have this the value from value model allows for kind of a personal responsibility on our part, on you and me, Basil, to make sure that we're providing content. And actually the value that we receive back is a reflection of what we're putting out there. So, if we're starting to fail and we really, start, I don't know, going the way of the dodo bird or something, just completely off course, people are stop listening, whatever, we'll know that we're not doing a good job, because the value in return will also decrease. So it's a good symbiotic system.
That's right. And now that is to say that it is still in a transitionary period. It's not really a system that people are used to. Yeah. And it's a little bit more painful because you have to do a little bit of work. You got to go to a website and then, choose a number or whatever. It's like,
go to our broken website and click on things.
It's a much more intentional process that is not a passive experience. And ever since we started doing our new format a year and a half ago now, when the pandemic started, the whole goal has been to not create a passive experience. That's why we have the chat. That's why we refer to different producers. Producers have a lot to do with the stories that go into the show. They send notes. We have professionals in all sorts of industries that add value to the show just by sharing information, sharing stories, correcting us, or teaching us things. And that's not even to mention people like the artists and the musicians and things like that. So it is, when it's now, we are not the first people to do this format, and we love to give credit to Adam Curry and John C. Dvorak over at the No Agenda Show. You should check it out if you haven't. But they were pioneers of this type of format, but it's just the right thing to do instead of trying to conform ourselves and our shoguns into this sort of evil, dying, decrepit system of grab people's attention and then monetize them with advertisements, which unfortunately you still see all too often. And it is uncomfortable, like talking about money with our listeners and stuff. At first, I personally don't feel uncomfortable anymore, but it certainly was an uncomfortable transition. But listeners, it can be uncomfortable for you to hear it. So we understand that, and we don't want to ignore that, and we want to make you know that we understand that. Yet, if you're here, that means you're not a mainstream sort of brainwashed person. And if you haven't participated in a value for value model type of operation before, I would consider it an essential step in keeping free media, in keeping independent media, independent analysis, that type of stuff truly free. Because as Adam Curry says, every corporate sponsorship is a form of censorship. Once you take advertising dollars, you are incentivized to fit into a system. And that's something that we've always, not always, that's something that always, we've never done ads. We've always rejected. It just doesn't feel right. It's not a sort of world system that we want to participate in. Anyways, that's enough rambling. You have anything to add before we
No, I think that summarizes it well. It's a little different take on it, more of a convo instead of letting you run off and repeat yourself a little bit. Yeah, no, I think it's good. I think it's important to because if you're still listening, especially, we value your attention. And we hold it as important enough to not sell it. We always talk about this, but it really is. I mean, maybe it does fall on deaf ears because you repeat it all the time, but it really is. If you're sitting there listening to something, you're watching TV, you watch advertisements, or you listen to a podcast and they break into, whatever. Everybody loves waffles. So hold up for a second while I talk about this waffle maker, whatever it is. Right. There's a third party involved that expects a return by tapping into that platform. Yeah. So it really is this handling. I mean, it literally is handling. Where if a company wants to advertise on our platform, then they're like, "Ooh, good. Let's get our product in front of thousands of listeners, and then we can sell our product." Yeah,
they're literally purchasing your attention from us,
and if they,
which makes us these weird dystopian freak attention dealers, which is just such a weird way to think about it, but when it is that's just what it is. There's no way around it.
And if the company is not seeing returns on their investment, because they would be paying us to pitch whatever to the audience. If our audience is like, no, then the advertiser will drop us and we stop getting paid by the advertiser. It's just a bad...
We get punished for it.
We get punished, yeah.
We get punished for not convincing you to buy a new mattress or an underwear subscription.
Right,
which, the more I talk about it, the more insane it sounds.
It is insane. It's absurd.
So crazy that we're all just so used to that system. And not only do we not notice it, but we get mad when somebody goes against it. Look, this is not a pity party, but I do want to mention, there are people who are furious when we start talking about this. There's whole videos made complaining about how you and I switched over to this value for value model, and how I don't know how mad people are. It's just so bizarre to me. Yeah. But I think just with a little bit of self-reflection, and I don't want to be mean to those people, I just want to say, I think with just a little bit of time to not be triggered And with a little bit of reflection on the situation, we hope that you appreciate the idea of the value for value model as much as we do.
And it's important, before you jump in, just one last thing, since you got me kind of rolling on this.
Yeah, let's go.
It's important to grasp that most people, I would say 90-something% of people who start podcasts are doing it so they can get advertisers and make money. I was listening to a comedian podcast. I can't remember which one it was, but they were talking about it. They're like, "Oh yeah, Joe Rogan," and then we got into it because, man, you guys are really raking in the advertisement, and they're pitching all their stuff, and it's like, wow, there's like shame. There's no shame about saying, like, telling people we got into this so we can get the advertisers so we can make money, and it's like, wow, okay, well, so and a lot of times those podcasts are not good. It's not good content. It's them talking about whatever. It's like, okay, cool. You can hang out with the celebrity, but you're not getting much out of it. So anyway.
Well, the celebrity podcast thing, that's a whole nother story. It makes me so mad. But and we don't want to come across, I mean, at a certain level, when you're putting enough time and energy into something, like there's nothing wrong with trying to make money with a podcast. That's not what we're saying. It's just the advertising industry seems to have this like stranglehold on the culture, where if you're not doing ads, then you're not being successful.
Right.
And one thing, I'll just end it on a warm note, and then we really got to get into it, which is this experience of doing this show, and especially in the new format, has completely changed my entire outlook on what it means to do podcasts, or to try to create some sort of media
content.
But it's not even content. It's a community, and that sounds kind of corny, but it's like, literally, if it wasn't for the producers coming on board as producers, there would be no podcast. There would be no community. Like it's not us doing it and then hoping people throw stuff our way. It's we're all doing it together, and we've always tried to make that clear, and that's how we consider it. And maybe sometimes when we get into sort of maybe the repetitious nature of the spiel, that doesn't come across, but we really couldn't do it without the producers. And that is why we take this time to thank them. Are you ready, Gons?
Ready to go.
Okay. So, if you want to become a producer, there's a couple ways to do it. The first way is by heading over to patreon.com/CCNT for Canary Cry News Talk. Patreon.com/CCNT. And Gons, we got a couple of producers over here. So with all of that said, let's all hear a rousing round of applause for our new producers, Underground LA.
All right.
Thank you very much, Underground LA. Sounds cool, man. I don't know what you got going on over there, but
is
it's
it LA
underground.
like Los Angeles or LA like Louisiana?
Just says LA. Yeah, it might be Louisiana. But we got another producer, and that is producer Joseph H. coming in.
Thank you, producer Joseph.
Thank you very much. Now, those are our two Patreon producers for today. Thank you guys very much. Now, a lot of people don't like Patreon. That's okay. There's other options. That's why we have created Canary Cry Radio, canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
That's right. canarycryradio.com/support is a great place. You can learn about the value for value model. We've also got the Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames going on over there. You can read about that, but you can also become a producer. Now, there's a couple of options. One of them, you can come in as a monthly recurring producer. It's a great set it and forget it option if you enjoy the show so much and you don't want to do everything manually every time you support the show. That is a great option. But if commitment is is not your thing, don't worry. You can make a one-time producership in any amount. Now, there's also cryptocurrency options, all sorts of fun stuff, and we are rebuilding that site as we speak, so it'll look a little funky, but I believe in you. You can make it work. Gons, who do we have coming in on the PayPal?
On the PayPal, first, we want to thank all the recurring producers. We appreciate you. We don't always mention your name, but we do want to thank you. First up, we have Spears Desert.
Woo! Spears Desert is back at it. Thank you very much, producer Spears Desert.
Yeah, good to see you back producing the show. Next up, we have producer Jessica L.
Yeehaw, Jessica L coming in. Now, Jessica L came in with $24, and there's a note here. It'll make sense. My husband and I closed on a new house on the 24th. And you guys, yeah, congratulations. And you guys have been keeping me company while packing and moving. Just say the word and we're ready to sell, though. Still planning that future move to your Canary Cry commune in the desert.
All right.
Oh, the Canary Cry commune. Someday. Someday. But thank you very much, Jessica L. and husband, and congratulations on your new place.
Congrats.
Cool.
That's really cool. Yeah. Especially in this market right now.
Big deal. In this economy.
All right. Thank you for that, producer Jessica and husband. Next up, we have producer Marcia M.
Thank you very much, producer Marcia M.
It's been a while since we saw Marcia M too, so welcome back.
Returning.
Next up, producer Lewis S.
Lewis S. Thank you very much, producer Lewis S. Coming in with $19.84, the 1984 producership. Longtime listener, look forward to every episode. The media flat out lies. We agree, Lewis S. Thank you very much.
Spelled differently, but Lewis is my middle name. Did you know this?
I did not know this.
Oh, yeah.
Is it weird that I wouldn't know this? Well, we've been friends for 10 years, 11 years now.
I don't announce it. And technically, I don't know your middle name.
That's true.
Do you have a middle name?
I've got several. I'm middle name Rich, baby.
All right. Okay. I'm not.
One of them is Danger.
Jeez. Okay. All right. Next, thank you for that, producer Lewis. Next up, we have producer Scott K.
Thank you very, Scott K. And Scott K has made it. He's on a 6-episode streak. That's right. I forget. Oh man, I haven't been writing down these levels of streaks.
Yeah, you need to. So here's a streak, the streaker jingle. It's
That's
every
right.
3, right? So, well, no, 6.
Scott
so
K is on fire. Thank you very much, Scott K. Yeah, so 3 is heating up, 6 is on fire. And Scott K came in with $13.43.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means, but
episode.
Oh, it is the episode. Yeah, you're right. Oh, I guess this would be a good time to remind everybody. Because maybe, I don't know, maybe somebody was inspired to go become a producer and they just need to know this. We usually do not read the amounts of the producerships, mainly just because, just as a default, we're assuming people don't want to air that much of their business. But if you are open to us reading your amount, you signal that by making some sort of very specific number. A common one is putting 33 in there. Just throw an extra 33 cents. That's our Illuminati handler producership. Or the show number, the episode number 343. That's a good way to do it. 1984, obviously, got to read that one. So if you're trying to keep it secret, just do a nice flat number that doesn't mean anything. But if you're open to it, put some fun in there and we'll read it. Okay. Yes. Next up,
where was I? Here we go. We have producer, actually, he's a knight, Sir Casey, the Shield Knight.
That's right. Sir Casey, the Shield Knight at the Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames. And he is also on a streak. He's on episode number 13 of producing the show in a row. That's right, Sir Casey. And his note was a bunch of fire emojis and says Trailblazers. So is that us or is that him? It's us. It's all of us.
Yeah, but also I don't know if maybe he's a Portland Trailblazers fan. Is currently playing in the playoffs against the Denver Nuggets.
Sports ball reference?
Yes, ball and ring game that we play on wooden floors.
Ball and basket game.
Ball and basket. Yeah, Dame Dalla is on the Trailblazers. So yeah, maybe that's in reference to that. They lost last night though, so I don't know.
Well, that makes more sense than what I said. So
I'd like to think that we are the Trailblazers and all that. That's nice. I like that.
Yeah. Double entendre.
Double entendre, yeah. All right. Thank you, producer Sir Casey. And keep that streak going. Is he the number one streaker? That sounds bad.
He is currently in the lead on streaks.
He's the best streaker we have.
He's the, yes. But close behind, nipping at his heels, is producer James H. on a streak of 11 episodes. And he comes in with a pocket full of $7.77. Thank you very much, producer James H.
And bringing it home for the PayPal, we have Tristan H.
That's right. Thank you very much, producer Tristan H. And Tristan is back on a streak. He's on a 2-episode streak. Thank you very much, Tristan H.
Do we give him the streak jingle for that?
Yeah, why not? That short little jingle, "They're on a streak," is going to be stuck in everyone's head forever. It's so simple, so short, and yet there it is.
Yeah. We also accept cryptocurrency. You can go to canarycryradio.com/crypto to get a little spiel about what that's all about. We got a little bit of Cardano, ticker symbol ADA, from producer Jack V.
Great.
Thank you, producer Jack V.
He's Jack V, the Gen Z crypto chat. Back at it. Thank you very much, producer Jack V.
He's so cool. He gave us 6.9 ADA tokens. It's really
nice.
Very Chad number.
He's a very Chad number. Yeah.
He said, hey fam, hey fam, I sent the 6.9 420 ADA. It's really 6.9
420. 6.9 420 ADA. Okay. Yeah. I follow you, Jack V.
Yeah, he must be an Elon fan too.
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
And he wanted to start here with a quote of a scripture. But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession, that you may declare the praises of him who called you out of darkness into his wonderful light. Once you were not a people, but now you are the people of God. Once you had not received mercy, but now you have received mercy. That's 1 Peter 2, verses 9 and 10. He says, just wanted to say, love you guys, and I'm glad to send you this appreciating asset, which is Cardano.
Oh, yeah.
Built on Ouroboros there. Questionable names for some of their technology. But anyway, it's okay.
They love
also, when you guys talked about gas prices, it made me laugh. I live in NorCal, and I paid $4.70 for premium today. Big love from your crypto Chad. And can you play the Vaxburger and Newsom jingle? And,
yes, we can.
Yes, of course we can.
Vaccinations. It's Newsom science, baby! Ha!
There you go. And we appreciate your producership, our Jack V, our Gen Z crypto Chad.
Yep. Thank you very much. There was somebody in the chat named Killer Whale Channels that said we didn't announce a PayPal donation. So we don't usually miss people. I don't know what your name is. Send us an email with your name and what to look out for.
Yeah, is it
possible we missed something?
It's always possible. I'm not going to.
When was the last episode? Was on Wednesday the 26th. Hold on. Please, okay, never mind. No, I can't take up too much
I'm looking over
time. I'm looking on my side too. I'm not. No. Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know. We can't have too much dead air.
Is it maybe through Patreon?
I don't know. Send us.
Send us a note. We'll make
send
it.
Us a note. We'll make it right. We always make it right. I don't know. Sometimes things make it through the cracks, but we don't do it on purpose.
Two people, Basil and I, doing the accounting over here. We're both horrible accountants.
You have two podcasters doing the accounting. What do you expect?
Not going to always work out too well, but we appreciate your patience. And if you send us a note, we'll set it straight. But yeah, just to get this segment over with here. Not to say that this isn't important, but we need to make sure we thank people that have contributed to the show with their time and talent. First up, the timestamps. We want to thank producer Rachel C. Thank you, Rachel, for giving us the timestamps for episode 342. And we have a jingle.
We have a new jingle. Never cry new stuff.
And last episode, Basil, you were struggling to provide different levels for the people on a streak. You know, it was something about walking on the sun. I don't know. It was some weird, obscure
I
reference
stand by that one.
B-Dub sent us a little jingle for the streak. Approaching supernova.
This is Charlie November Tango. You are approaching supernova. Repeat, you are approaching supernova.
Oh, that's great.
I like it.
That's good. Yeah, that's really good. And that'll be, we'll make that, let's see, 12. That'll be 15. That'll be the 15 streak.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. I needed something after you might as well be walking on the sun for 12. And supernova for 15 sounds good.
Yeah,
Thank you for digging me out of my own grave, B-Dub.
It would be horrible if everybody just died, you know. They burned to a crisp. At 12 straight episodes, and then
you know what? I pick a theme and I stick with it, Gons. I'm nothing if not consistent.
Yeah, that's true. All right, and also you can produce the show with your artwork.
One art, please.
And our first piece of art comes from producer Allie, who has her own jingle.
One art, please. Another one from Allie now. Here it is.
And this one is titled Emo Basil. And it says the idea for Emo Basil sprang from Basil's impression plea in Wednesday's show for people to become producers to, quote, make me feel something again. Lyrics are from Welcome to My Life by Simple Plan. And you can describe what's happening here.
Yeah, well, I mean, basically, oh gosh, this makes me feel something for sure, Allie. Thank you for this. It's funny, but also really hurts me. Because I grew up in the golden age of emo. I was in high school, and I am ashamed to say I had something kind of close to this haircut, and it's making me think upon some times I would have rather have forgotten. But for those who are just listening, this is a very well done pencil drawing of me me with my big googly eyes, 2 lip piercings, and the long emo haircut that is just the swoop, the swoosh, all off to one side. Oh man, what were we thinking? I can't believe emo is still a thing either. But at the top, she's got some lyrics from who is this from?
Simple Plan.
It's sideways in the document here, which is really also messing with my head.
I could read it for you.
Yeah, it's from A Simple Plan. You don't know what it's like to be like me, to feel hurt, to feel lost, to be left out in the dark. Become a producer. Help me feel again. I had to go back and listen to that song. I had not listened to that song. And I forgot the crazy voice that they would sing with. You don't know what it's like to be me, to be hurt, to feel lost, to be left out in the dark. That's not how the song goes, but you get the point.
I felt like I just had like a flashback to
Yeah.
old Blink-182 songs or something. Just
Is it hurting you as much as it's hurting me to think back on our emo days?
Yes and no. I mean, I made a transition quickly into screamo. I needed a little more edge.
Yeah, we all did.
Punk emo itself was like the poppy emo was
It's too soft.
Too soft. I didn't really enjoy that too much. I needed more. I needed the screamo.
Oh no, Gazel and Bonds. Allie says, Basil, you're ruining the song for me. No, I don't want to ruin anything. I'm sorry. Enjoy the music that you enjoy. It's just high school's a weird time, Allie. And it's even weirder when you have big googly eyes.
Noah used to say he used to wear Jinkos. I had a pair of Jinkos.
I was in middle school during the Jinko times, and I had one pair of Jinkos, and I kind of miss the Jinkos, actually. Now that I'm taking a second to think about it, there was so much room for activities.
Very comfortable.
Yeah.
Jean pants. Very fluffy.
Okay, we have to stop thinking about the awkward days of middle school and high school. We have a show to do.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you very much, Allie. This was very good. It is going on the wall. It's going on the wall of Basil portraits. I appreciate it very much.
Simple Plan from Montreal, Canada. All right, next up we have one from producer Dove. And the note, peace. So after hearing about all these cicadas that were running around eating hallucinogenic fungus and engaging in bizarre mating activities, I thought to myself, quote, oh no, they're turning into festival wooks. So I decided to drop some of these filthy cicadas in their natural habitat to Save the Bananas Fest, or at Save the Bananas Fest 2021. Hope you guys enjoy it. Keep doing what you do, and I'll keep praying for yins.
Thank you very much, producer Dove. And yes, it's exactly what he said. It's a bunch of hippie cicadas who, well, are stoned out of their gourds.
Their eyeballs are all red.
Yes. Wearing the classic hippie attire. We got drug rugs. We got tie-dye. We got baggy patch pants. We got fanny packs. And we got sacred geometry all over the place, folks. Let's see. There's Save the Bananas pin one is wearing. The other one's got a Illuminati all-seeing eye. But it looks like the all-seeing eye is also stoned. And in the background, can you see that? You get up close.
I do, yeah.
That is a stoned, all-seeing eye. Then in the background, there's the mushroom tent.
Yeah, the mushroom tent. I'll get to the mushroom tent in a second here, but the guy wearing the
oh my gosh, I see
eye
it. I see it now.
Also has a pin of Commie Cry Radio.
Yes, the Commie Cry Radio keeps popping up.
He just slips that in there every time.
It's very good, Dove. Always fun details to find. Yes, and if you're wondering what is going on, we reported on the cicada, Brood X, which is now flying all over the place on the East Coast. Have you seen any of the videos of like the cicadas jumping into newscasts and stuff, spooking people? Yeah, it's pretty funny. The cicadas are growing, or the population is growing quickly, and we reported on a fact that 5% of the cicadas are infested with psilocybin fungus, and so they're tripping out all the time, and sends them into a mating frenzy. And there's a long history of people eating cicadas specifically in hopes of getting the psilocybin fungus, and having their own little trip there. Say no to bugs, kids. Say no to bugs. Thank you very much, producer Dove.
Yes, appreciate that. One more here from producer Josiah, and it is Robot Basil and Gons.
Okay. Oh, yeah, there we go. We got Robot Basil. It looks like I have the body of Wally with some big googly eyes. Now, Josiah put googly eyes on Wally. Doesn't Wally already have googly eyes?
Kind of. They're not really googly.
Okay. He had to Google them up a little bit.
Yeah.
And then we got Robot Gons. You're a little bit more of a humanoid. Looks like you're You're a little bit more capable than I. And it says Robot Basil and Gods. Thank you very much, producer Josiah.
Yep, appreciate it. I don't know what the green glowy thing is on the left there. Maybe that's
I don't know either. It's a signal.
Spooky. All right, thank you for that. Appreciate all the producers that came in and contributed to the show. Episode 434. Do you have any reviews, Basil?
Yes, but luckily it's a very short review segment. I'll do a little reload just in case. Now, here's the thing, folks. Please leave ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts. If you haven't done it yet, just go to Apple Podcasts, search for Canary Cry News Talk, leave a rating and a review. It's very important to keep a nice steady stream of ratings and reviews. It's kind of a boring backdoor podcaster thing to worry about, but it is important because as long as those reviews keep coming in, iTunes and Apple Podcasts and other podcast platforms recommend the show to other people. So with your review, you might be responsible for activating the algorithms. Only one... Yippee. Only one review came over on Apple Podcasts from the United States of America. This is left by Joby G. Oh, I see Joby G every once in a while in the chat and stuff, I think. I think they produced once. I forget. Well, hi, Joby G. And leaves a 5-star review. Yawesome show is the headline. And the text reads, a really great show with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 exclamation points.
All right.
5 stars and 6 exclamation points, Gons. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, love it. Thank you. Appreciate the review.
Yes. And please, if you're out there, it just takes a couple seconds. Please leave a rating or review. And as one reviewer said, it's the cheapest way to get me to say whatever you want me to say on the show. So, so go for it. I'm surprised nobody has taken more advantage of that.
Well, people need to think long and hard what they would like to hear you say. Yeah.
Okay.
Before we forget, the Canary Cry Producers logo contest.
Yes, I was going to move into that.
Okay.
But I think you should do it.
Oh, you want me to do it?
No, you might as well. You brought it up.
Okay. Hold on.
No, okay, the sigh of I'll do it.
I only say that because I'm trying to coordinate somebody to pick up the daughter here because time-wise it's not
you happen. Do your thing. I will take care of it. So, who was it? Hold on.
Gotta scroll down.
Is it in the thing? Okay, hold on, folks. Time out. Oh, no, I'm losing control of my VR hand.
It was producer Paul G.
That's who it was. Paul G., the son of Dame Sissy Sue of Sassafras, one of our beloved dames. So that's right. Paul G. we are announcing a Producer logo contest, and whoever the winner is, Paul G. will be giving a $100 producership in your name. So artists out there all over the world. Now, let me be clear. Canary Cry Producers is different from the producers. So the producers, spelled Prayducers, you can put a hyphen in there if you'd like. Canary Cry Producers is the Canary Cry prayer team. We got intercessors all over the world who band together and they pray for the show and pray for the producers and just do a lot of praying. It's an awesome part of the Canary Cry community. Not just Canary Cry community, but also the whole community. So we love our producers, and Paul G has put out a call for you artists and graphic designers out there. If you want to create a logo, maybe like imagine a logo or a badge, maybe a coat of arms, just throwing out ideas here for the Canary Cry producers. We will be accepting entries until next Friday. So you've got a week and a couple days, but you can send it in early if you'd like. Send in your producer logo, Canary Cry Producers. Use your imagination, get fun. and send it into canarycryradio@gmail.com or canarycryradio@protonmail.com, and we will be bundling those up, sending them off to Paul G. And Paul G, I think we'll be picking the winner, or maybe he'll be doing it in conjunction with us. We'll make it a team effort here, Paul G. And the winner will get a $100 producership in your name coming from Paul Green. So it's a win-win-win for everybody, folks. Get on it, artists. As of now, we just announced it on Wednesday, but as of now, there are no entries. So you've got, 8 days? I'm going to say 8 days. It's technically, no, 7.
No,
7 days. You got 7 days until we announce the winner. So send those in, and that'll be cool. Okay. Thank you very much, Paul G. and also Dame Sissy Sue of Sassafras.
All right. Time to get back to the show here.
Wait. There was one thing to mention.
Okay.
No, there wasn't. Okay.
Oh, I know what you were going to say.
Okay.
We're all gonna die.
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
Got some politics.
It's Latin for many.
Tick.
Now suck your blood. Now suck
Politics.
your blood.
Are we going straight to politics for sake of time?
Oh, I forgot that you had that in there.
Yeah, we'll just do it real quick.
Okay, hold on. Backpedal.
Reverse.
Epstein didn't kill himself.
This is a quick one, folks, but just because we continue to track the progress on the Epstein case. TheHill.com has a headline here: Judge approves deal for Epstein guards to avoid jail time. A federal judge on Tuesday approved a plea deal that will allow 2 jail guards to avoid time behind bars after they admitted to falsifying records about the night they were supposed to be supervising the late financier Jeffrey Epstein. Interesting. They called him the late financier and not notorious pedophile and human trafficker.
Yeah, the Hill.
But okay, the Hill. U.S. District Judge Annalisa Torres in Manhattan approved the deal that Tova Noel and Michael Thomas reached with prosecutors last week. Instead of serving time, the two will serve 6 months of supervised release and complete 100 hours of community service. Hey, they could get that cut in half if they get the vaccine. Noel and Thomas were accused of sleeping and surfing the internet when they were supposed to be watching Epstein on August 10th, 2019, the night the disgraced financier was found hanging in his cell. They were subsequently charged with falsifying records over attempts they had made to persuade prosecutors that they had checked on the prisoner. The two confessed to falsifying records as part of the plea deal. Epstein was being housed in a cell in the special housing unit at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Lower Manhattan as he awaited trial on charges of sexual abuse and sex trafficking in Florida and New York. He had pleaded not guilty to those charges. Epstein's death, which was ruled a suicide, wink, marked a major blemish for the Federal Bureau of Prisons given the high-profile nature of Epstein's detention and the unit in which he was housed. His death sparked an avalanche of conspiracy theories given Epstein's far-reaching connections to high-profile figures and lawmakers from both parties. So there you go. The 2 guards who were supposed to... Now, which was it? Was it the guards were slacking off and not paying attention when he allegedly killed himself, or was the cameras not working? Because I've heard both of those.
I thought the cameras weren't working for sure.
That's what they say. But why even bother bringing up the guards and saying, oh, they just didn't pay attention? And also the cameras weren't working. And also. I mean, it's okay. That's fine. I'm not trying to make a mountain out of a molehill here. I think nobody, I mean, look, we all get what's going on here. I don't need to go into it. But there you go. The guards who are, I guess, allegedly responsible in some way get off pretty much scot-free. Now, of course, those crazy conspiracy theorists might think that maybe they got off because they had something to do with creating the circumstances that led to Epstein's death, or maybe they looked the other way, or maybe they really were just incompetent. Who knows what it was? But it's pretty convenient. I think we can all agree on that. And you know what? If just being crazy here, if there was some sort of help in Epstein's suicide, what would you need to do? You would need to somehow disable the cameras, and you would somehow need to either distract the guards or make it so they don't get punished for being a participant in your little plan. Either way, these guys get off scot-free. That's fine. 100 hours of community service, gonna pick up some garbage on the side of the road. Get your vaccine there, folks.
Poly.
It's Latin for many.
Tick.
Now suck your blood.
Politics.
Your blood.
This is the LA Times. First up here. With Biden's first budget, annual federal spending would top $6 trillion.
Yeah, why not?
Come on, man.
Why not? Just put it whatever. Just say whatever number you want.
Washington, the $6 trillion in federal spending that President Biden will propose Friday in his budget request for the coming fiscal year reflects both ambitious goals for reinvigorating the economy through government action and a head-on challenge to his Republican opponents in Congress. By seeking billions of additional dollars for new infrastructure, aid to education, help for middle-class families, new environmental programs, and a host of other domestic initiatives, Biden promises to ramp up economic growth, make the U.S. more competitive globally, boost the long stagnant incomes of most American workers, and combat climate change. He's a superhero.
So many things.
And by proposing...
So many expensive things.
And by proposing the largest annual federal budget in constant dollars since World War II, he is laying down a political gauntlet to Republicans who are betting they can obstruct his initiative and break Democrats' shaky majorities in Congress in next year's midterm election. Biden, speaking about the economy at Cleveland Community College on Thursday afternoon, delivered an impassioned argument in support of the sweeping domestic agenda to be outlined in his budget proposal to Congress for fiscal year 2022, which begins October 1st. Why do we have calendars? What's the point? Honestly, things are just so not linear. And anyway, quote, "This is our moment to rebuild an economy from the bottom up and middle out." Oh, the bottom up and the middle out.
Whoa, which one is it? It's both. Why not throw in top down while you're at it?
Top down, bottom up,
that's what
middle
Republicans
out.
Want.
Who says middle out?
There's been some times you do middle out.
I've never heard that before. Okay.
You've never eaten a pizza from the middle out?
Yeah, but we're talking about pizza. We're not talking about the economy. I've heard bottom up, you know.
Nobody's eating a pizza from the middle out. It was a trap. I trapped you.
Well, technically, everybody's eating pizza from the middle out if you slice it and you're taking it from the triangle in there.
Oh, yeah,
right?
You make a great point.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
You trapped me. Oh, the hunter becomes the hunted.
Okay, so yeah, this is our moment to rebuild an economy from the bottom up and the middle out, the president said, arguing that investments in infrastructure, workers, and families will make America's economy fairer and help the country keep pace with global rivals, China in particular. He continued to push for his proposal to raise taxes on corporations and the richest individuals to pay for the investments and tax breaks for low and middle income households, and he mocked Republicans for opposing those tax increase plans, even as they attacked his spending proposals as budget busters. Quote, "We had no problem passing a $2 trillion tax plan that went to the top 1% that wasn't paid for at all," he said, referring to Republicans' 2017 law that drastically lowered tax rates for corporations and the rich. Quote, "But every time I talk about tax cuts for working class people, it's, oh my God, What are we doing? What are we going to do?
Come on, man.
Any president's budget request to Congress is primarily a political document, a fiscal blueprint spelling out the administration's priorities. Congress invariably reshuffles White House spending plans, sometimes all but ignoring them. But with Democrats in control of the House and Senate, if narrowly, Biden can expect a respectful hearing for his first full-year budget proposal as president and some success. What? That sentence didn't really feel that right.
It's
I'm
Biden.
just going to move on. He's taking a much more bold and aggressive posture politically than President Obama did. Biden also advocates bipartisanship, but has suggested that if Republicans resist compromise, he will try to pass his program with only Democrats as vote or take the fight to the voters. So that's not bipartisan. that is the definition of not bipartisanship, you know? It's like, do as we say, or else we'll do it our way.
Yeah,
That's not bipartisan. That's exactly
the Democrat way.
While polls show the popularity of many of Biden's proposals, pressing his plans without bipartisan buy-in would be a political gamble, given the highly polarized electorate. Yada, 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 goes into the monies and all that stuff. But $6 trillion, money printer go burr.
Money printer go burr.
It's impressive.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of mentioned it. These numbers don't even mean anything anymore.
No.
And I think Biden knows it. Well, maybe he doesn't. But
No, I don't think he does. How does money work, Biden?
Well, it's a big number. Big number's better, right? Okay. $6 trillion.
If there was a reporter out there with the opportunity, ask Biden how the money works. How does money work, President Biden?
He would just get mad.
He would tell you to get in front of his car so he can run over you.
It's a joke, but that's what this administration does. If you ask them a hard question, they literally threaten violence on you.
It's true.
Or just degrade you, like just infantilize you like Jen Psaki does.
Oh, yeah. More on Biden.
Got hairy legs. Got hairy legs.
You want this one here, the CBS News?
Sure. The headline here is Anti-Defamation League calls on Biden to appoint Jewish liaison amid rise in anti-Semitic attacks. The Anti-Defamation League is asking the White House to appoint a liaison to the Jewish community after recent violent attacks between Israel and Hamas led to a rise in anti-Semitic attacks on in the United States. Quote, "We want to see the administration appoint a Jewish liaison at the White House," the organization's CEO, Jonathan Greenblatt, said on CBSN Thursday. The position was filled by presidents for decades and left vacant under former President Trump. The ADL told CBS News it was looking for the reestablishment and filling of the role in order to enable clear channels of communication between the White House and the American Jewish community. Greenblatt also said, quote, "We have been waiting for them to name a position at the State Department that is still vacant, the special envoy for anti-Semitism. And desperately, Congress and the White House should work together to fund a program called Security Grants for nonprofits. Fund a program called Security Grants for Nonprofits." That security grants for nonprofits is not capitalized, so it's a little confusing. But that program, the Nonprofit Security Grant Program, awards funding to nonprofit organizations deemed high-risk targets for terrorist attacks. Quote, "It already exists, and whether it's synagogues or black churches or mosques, we know that houses of worship are vulnerable," Greenblatt said. "That program should be increased. The White House, the administration, on a bipartisan basis, could work with Congress and really get something done here." Nearly 200 anti-Semitic incidences were reported to the Anti-Defamation League in 1 week after the Israeli-Palestine conflict erupted this month, the group said in a press release last week. The figure is up from 131 reports the group recorded the week prior. Quote, oftentimes in the past, where there would be a conflagration in the Middle East, there might be an uptick in anti-Semitism here, Greenblatt said, but the last 2 weeks it has been more drastic and frankly more dangerous. Part of the reason, he says, is social media. Quote, we have seen unhinged memes. Boy, I've seen some unhinged memes. We have seen inflammatory videos, and we have seen crazy conspiracy theories that are circulating through Instagram, through WhatsApp, through TikTok and Twitter, through YouTube, he said. The ADL said more than 17,000 tweets used variations of the phrase Hitler was right between May 7th and May 14th. It also mentions messages. Okay, there's a lot of context there in the Hitler was right phrasing,
of course,
that I think you feel is missing.
Yeah.
Anyways, somebody could tweet, Hitler was right-handed. Or was he? He wasn't. He was left-handed, I think. It also mentions messages including explicit praise for Hitler, promoting tropes about Jewish control and demonizing all Jews, and claims that extreme anti-Semitic and anti-Zionist content can be found across a wide variety of channels, calling for the destruction of the Jewish state. Yeah, like AOC. Or progressive Democrats.
Here's the thing about and there have been many stories about the Jewish community being under attack in the U.S. since all the tension in the Middle East. And a lot of the extreme calls for violence, or for specifically the destruction of the Jewish state, are coming from political leaders, not from people that are
Elon Omar and AOC. They're all those anti-Israel people.
Yeah, to the
explicitly,
point. Explicitly. I know, it's crazy. So it's interesting because it's almost like they're being used as pawns to gather up all the people that would otherwise have just a simple political issue with the Zionist regime. And, because it's such a complicated issue, where, if you're anti-Zionist, we had that article a few episodes ago, that if you're anti-Zionist doesn't mean you're anti-Semitic, or does it? I don't know. Did we cover that story? I don't remember. I'd been reading a whole bunch of stuff on it, so it's been an interesting view of it. But it's fascinating to see the issues get to the point where it causes violence in America, because it proves the social engineering and mind control of the entire thing on either side of the aisle here. And, we try not to take sides on all these issues because, there's
rarely an innocent side in politics in general. And the left-right paradigm is a trap for your mind.
The left-right paradigm, exactly. And it's fascinating to consider from like a psychological standpoint, where both sides, and this is what I find really fascinating about this, both the Jewish state, like the government and all that, and the narrative surrounding that, and the Palestinian side of the argument, they both present themselves as victim, right?
Right. Yeah.
And their leadership both display the actions of oppressor.
Yes.
So it becomes almost impossible, if you look at it objectively, to take a side, unless you're taking only pieces of information to support your narrative.
Yeah.
And that's where I think you can get into a lot of trouble, because if you're pro-Israel, you have your reasons, whether they be, people use scripture to justify a lot of that. And people I've seen use scripture to justify the Palestinian right to be there and everything. So it just becomes messy. And I just think it's interesting to see the social engineering aspect of this, and to the point where, they're pushing Biden to put together that liaison, which existed prior to Trump.
That's fine. There probably should be a liaison. Everybody has liaisons.
Yeah.
Everybody's got it. I don't know exactly what they do or whatever. I'm not really concerned.
I don't know that that's going to help anything, though.
Give them a liaison.
Give them a liaison, but it's not going to do anything. What is it going to do?
Well, I don't know. We would need to educate ourselves on what the liaison does. I don't really know what he does. But the point being, I think the bigger issue specifically, we've made our lack of knowledge known a few times, or at least lack of standing on this position. But the position that we are aware of is that it's the progressive Democrats and plenty of the centrist Democrats, and to be fair, plenty of people on the right side of the aisle too. They're the ones sort of flaming up this anti-Semitism. They spent 4 years calling Donald Trump an anti-Semite, calling Donald Trump every name in the book, including anti-Semite, and then they turn around and call for the destruction of the Jewish state. I mean, like, what in the world? And look, it shouldn't come as a surprise. They're politicians. That's what they do. It's all a big Hegelian dialectic, double speak, ministry of truthiness nonsense. The tongue twisting yarn ball, and it's designed to be that way. And it takes people out of their rational thinking. And of course, they've created a culture over the past 4 years with Trump, 5 years even, if you include election times, where making anti-Semitism synonymous with conservatives, which makes no logical sense because traditionally it's the evangelical church who are the Zionists in the United States. I've been in that. I grew up in the evangelical church. I've been a Christian for many decades, and the entire time it was completely saturated with pro-Israel rhetoric. The idea that Christians are somehow anti-Semitic at some core is completely ridiculous, but it's what's propagated by politicians in the media because it's just a great way to demonize Christians. When in fact, it's progressive Democrats who are the ones calling, Israel the oppressor, and, sometimes explicitly calling for the destruction of the Jewish state. And it's complete craziness, mind control. And so, they notice how there's very few reports on the perpetrators of the anti-Semitism. Yeah, you might hear about a KKK member here and there, but if 200 are happening a week, and the political bias of the left is anti-Israel, do we really think that it's all conservatives perpetrating violence on Jews? I don't think any reasonably thinking person does think that. But there you go. That's the media for you.
Yeah, and the Anti-Defamation League historically has not been, if you're approaching it objectively, it does not seem to be... watch my words, or I'm going to be called an anti-Semite.
I think they go back and forth. I think there's more subtle and complex history to the Anti-Defamation League. But yes, there's certainly lots of connections that it has with lots of different agendas.
Yeah. So it's interesting because Biden hasn't really, he did kind of make a stance about, looking for the ceasefire and, defending the UN or I'm sorry, opposing the UN. I think Netanyahu thanked him for not picking up on the UN's request for ceasefire. So he's kind of tiptoeing around, but it's interesting because a lot of his side of the aisle are, like you mentioned, stoking the flames against the, especially, and that's what's crazy too. I mean, if you really just strip away the titles and the labels, and you look at what happened to Jews in World War II as part of like the discrimination, like the actual discrimination that happened there. I mean, it's kind of the same thing going on, It's like, whoa, man.
Yeah.
Craziness. But yeah.
Speaking of Sorry, did you have more?
No, nothing else. Go ahead. Yeah.
May I please? I have something very important I need to bring to your attention.
Okay.
Okay. It's this next story from DeseretNews.com. And Gons, I'm here to keep you aware and woke to what's going on with your new governor. The headline is Caitlyn Jenner says she will cancel culture and wake up the woke. Listen to that.
Are you even woke?
Listen to that. Caitlyn Jenner, your soon-to-be governor.
Hashtag cancel culture.
Cancel culture and wake up the woke. This is strong rhetoric coming from Jenner. Caitlyn Jenner, who is running for governor of California, recently said on Twitter that she plans to end cancel culture. I did not know that the governor of California has that kind of power, but apparently it is within the jurisdiction of the California governor to end cancel culture. When elected governor of California, I will, all caps, cancel culture and wake up the woke, she tweeted. Jenner has had a storied career in reality television. She has daughters with ex-wife Kris Jenner, Kendall and Kylie Jenner. Kim Kardashian West is her stepdaughter. Jenner told, we live in it's a brave new world, Gons. She has daughters with ex-wife Kris Jenner. Jenner told CBS this morning that she doesn't want her family involved in her political run either. I did speak with all my children, and I said, hey, I don't want one tweet. I don't want you. This is my deal, she told CBS this morning.
Okay.
I don't know why this is Caitlyn's new voice, but
it's real demeaning.
Quote, I said if anybody asks any questions in the media, because obviously they are in the media, I just said no comment. Address your comment to me, Jenner said. Jenner is a former Olympic gold medalist who turned into a transgender activist. She has been, that's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah.
Jenner is a former Olympic gold medalist who turned into a transgender.
He turned into she.
She's turned into a transgender activist. Okay, so a career shift from athlete to activist is what they're referring to.
Why do they say former Olympic gold medalist? Aren't you just an Olympic gold medalist if you win the Olympic gold medal?
That's a great question. Yeah.
How are you former? Right. Like you you gold medal? Like he was a former Olympic gold medalist, but no longer is he a gold medalist.
Did they take the medal away? No. That is possible. It has happened.
It has happened, but only after the Russians.
Stop changing the subject.
Okay.
Because there's one more sentence. She has been a national TV personality as well in recent years, according to Fox News. According to Fox News, Jenner has been a TV personality. Okay. So there you go, Gons. It's going to be a bright new future for California. I think Jenner is on the right track, continuing the conservative war cry of cancel culture and wake up the woke.
We're all gonna die.
Guys, just accept it. Accept it.
Progress before it is too late.
That's all. That's all there is.
Meet Kevin. Come on, Kevin. Do better.
Good luck, Kevin.
Gotta defeat the.
What are you gonna cancel, Kevin? Nothing. That's what.
All right. Okay. Well,
Kevin's a white man.
So
he's not going to be the governor of California.
Yeah, but he can try.
He sure can try. That is his right.
Well, Caitlyn Jenner's a white man.
Nope. Not according to legal documents.
Oh gosh.
All right.
Newsom was a white hog.
I know, and that's why he's out.
That's not why he's out.
That's why he's out. White hog's out. Come on, let's keep moving.
New York Post. Atlanta Councilman Antonio Brown, who voted to defund police, has car stolen. Says here an Atlanta mayoral candidate.
Sorry, that took a second to process.
An Atlanta mayoral candidate who voted to sequester $73 million from the city's police department budget reportedly had his car stolen by a group of young thieves this week and wound up thanking the cops for their help.
Oh,
City Council member Antonio Brown had just gotten out of his white Mercedes coupe to speak to fellow community leaders Ben Norman in northwest Atlanta's Dixie Hills community Wednesday when he spotted 4 or 5 kids. The youngest only 6 or 7?
You can't fit 4 or 5 kids in a Mercedes coupe. Were they clowns?
Wait, hold on. Did he... Okay, wait. The kids who stole the vehicle were 6 or 7, or he had kids that were 6 or 7?
The youngest of one of the carjackers was 6 or 7.
Oh, gosh. The children were walking around a store, and within seconds were inside Brown's car, he said. Quote, one kid was in the driver's seat, Brown told the outlet.
Yeah, that is how you steal a car.
Quote, Ben attempted to open the door to get him out of the car. He fought with Ben. I then engaged and tried to get him out of the car. The 3 other kids were trying to figure out how to get in the car or stay out of the car. He started to hit on the gas. Ben, let's go.
No, Ben, let go.
Oh, let go. Sorry. Ben, let go. Quote, as he started to speed up, and I knew that if I had not let go, I knew I probably could have killed myself because he was going so fast. I would have started to tumble, he added, and I would have hurt him. Brown said he filed a report with the Atlanta Police Department. Quote, thanks to everyone that reached out to check on me. Appreciate the love and support. My car hasn't been recovered, but the situation could have ended a lot worse.
If I didn't let go of a car as it sped away. Oh, this hero who let go of a moving car.
I'm just going to skip a bunch of stuff here. Brown, who is under indictment on several federal fraud charges related to alleged incidents that occurred years before he took city council office in 2019, launched his mayoral run on the platform of, quote, reimagining public safety and policing in Atlanta, according to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Yeah, I'll read a quote from him. Quote, the reality is this, Brown told Waga TV. We need programmatic initiatives in place to help support these kids to be able to give them another pathway instead of them committing crimes. That's how the article ends. You know...
Yeah, you missed... Oh, never mind. No, you didn't. Did you read the numbers? Yeah, he withheld the $73 million.
Yeah, it was at the beginning.
From the $218 million budget. I mean, that's like 30% of the budget.
Yeah. If you're gonna criticize the police and defund the police, maybe don't call the police if kids try to steal your car. Or go back on your position because you called the cops. And I don't know, man.
We're all gonna die.
Doesn't matter. Does any of this matter?
Yeah. Yes.
You know it does matter.
What's the right answer here?
I know what the right answer is. It's Shillzilla.
Shill. Shill for sure.
Okay, folks, we're going to check in with Chris Shillzilla. You know him. You love him. He's got a YouTube show, and he's editor-at-large over at CNN.
Okay,
again.
I chose KCTV5.com's article on this because...
Why did you do this?
Because it's an example of the reach of Chris Shillzilla. It's not that he just publishes on CNN. No. News outlets, CBS news outlets, pick up on his story. So that's why. It's a mirrored article, so it's probably the same.
Yeah. Now, I do, again, want to reiterate, Chris Shillzilla has a show, a YouTube show for CNN, and is an editor-at-large over there on CNN. He's got over 600,000 Twitter followers.
Oh, man, that's got to be Chinese bots or something.
Well, it absolutely is. 600,000. Let me pull it up here.
Well, every time he tweets, isn't there like 20 likes or something? He doesn't have that much.
Let me give you some numbers to consider. Okay. 650,000 Twitter followers. His Here's a tweet. Well, I mean, anyway. Never mind. It's the feed has changed since I last looked. But yes, he gets an astronomically low number of interaction on his tweets. I mean, he'll get, 27 likes on this one. Let's see here. 52. Okay, that's a big one. 52 likes, 13 likes. Oh, I mean, he gets like numbers that I get, and he has... Let's see. I have 0.01% of the followers that he has. And
I know he can cry foul with Twitter. Why are you shadow banning me, Jack?
Yeah. So, shadow banning, yeah. So they're obviously all just paid, follows. Now, this story that I'm going to bring to you, he tweeted out to share it, and he did get 150 comments, and I thought, okay, 150 people. Let's see what his fans are saying. No. He has no fans that interact with his thing. It is 150 people commenting on how horrible he is. No, there's not a single positive comment on this entire thing. So I don't know what's going on with Chris Shilzilla. He's sort of like they tried to create this persona of him being like a big CNN journalist or something. But it's pretty much just all hate follows.
He's a failed experiment by CNN.
Yeah, he's a real like product that they tried to create. But here we go. Here's some of the hard-hitting analysis of from Chris Shilzilla. Now, the headline here, this is the KCTV5. The headline is, "This is how dangerous right-wing media actually is." But when he posted it, his actual name for this article was Analysis. This is how dangerous right-wing media is. So this is his...
KCTV was like, this is not analysis. Take off that title.
That is exactly right. That'll be a little clue for you. So here it is from Chris Shilzilla. One of the many noxious developments of Donald Trump's presidency was the rise of several cable TV outlets that aimed to out-Fox Fox News. As in, Fox News wasn't Trumpy enough, so more pro-Trump alternatives were required, with Newsmax, Newsmax and OAN emerging as the preferred options. Trump in his I have to say it that way because that's how Chris Shilzilla says it. So Trump in his final year or so would regularly call out Fox News for its lack of total fealty to him and urge his supporters to go somewhere like OAN and Newsmax, where they could get nothing but good news on him and his presidency. It worked for Trump, but a new PRRI national poll. Let's just open up that link for later. Give me 1 second. Boop, 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 boop. Okay. But a new PRRI national poll shows how corrosive the creation of a media subservient to Trump and the various conspiracy theories that have grown up around him he has helped stoke.
It says around him he.
Yeah. Various conspiracy theories that have grown up around him he has helped stoke. I think it's like him / he has helped stoke.
Oh, I see.
For the body politic.
So it's not a pronoun thing?
Yeah. Okay, hold on. Let's get into the analysis, guys.
All right, okay.
Among those respondents who say they most trust Among those respondents who say they most trust far-right news organizations, 4 in 10, 40%, agree with the statement that, quote, the government, media, and financial worlds in the U.S. are controlled by a group of Satan-worshipping pedophiles who run a global child sex trafficking operation. Okay. Almost half, 48%, believe that, quote, there is a storm coming soon that will sweep away the elites in power and restore the rightful leaders. More than 4 in 10 say that's some Q right there. More than 4 in 10 say they agree that, quote, because things have gotten so far off track, true American patriots have to resort to violence in order to save our country. Sorry, true American patriots may have to resort to violence in order to save our country. All 3 of those statements are beliefs held by the QAnon conspiracy movement, which has been completely and thoroughly debunked any number of times. Worth noting, QAnon has as its central tenet that Trump was installed as president by the military and would eventually arrest major Democratic figures for sex crimes. Trump isn't president anymore, and those arrests didn't happen. Now, compare the numbers on those same questions among people who say they trust Fox News. Most. Less than 1 in 5, 18%. So these are the Fox News viewers versus the OAN folk. Mm-hmm. Sorry. No, this is Fox News versus people who most trust far-right news. So it's this weird dichotomy.
They're trying to break up the,
Right. So those who trust far-right news were the numbers I just read. Those who trust Fox go as follows. Less than 1 in 5, 18%, say the government and media are controlled by a group of Satan-worshipping pedophiles. 1 in 3 say storm is coming and sweep out elites. 1 in 4, 27%, say violence may be necessary to save the country. Still not great, but slightly less terrifying than the numbers among those who trust OAN and Newsmax most. Overall, 15% of people believe the Satan-worshipping thing, 20% believe the storm is coming, and 15% think violence may be necessary to save the country. The Point, which is the name of his YouTube show. So this is like a branded article. The rise of far-right channels like OAN and Newsmax has led to a massive amount of disinformation flowing through American democracy. While espousing this garbage is a business model for these channels, it has massive impacts on Americans, many of whom are living in a conspiracy theory that they have been tricked into thinking is the real world. End of article. End of analysis. He spent 10 paragraphs reading in a very convoluted way the numbers from this poll, and has 2 sentences as his analysis. And his analysis is OAN and Newsmax is bad, and Americans believe conspiracy theories. Analysis. He's a bad journalist.
Good job. It's interesting
Chris
because
Shilzilla, I'm just saying it, a bad news person is just not good.
Let's compare a little bit, because the Insider, this is businessinsider.com, their reporter, Eliza Relman, also took the same data, came up with an article. Mm-hmm. And the headline for this article from Business Insider, almost a quarter of Republicans believe Satan-worshipping pedophiles control the U.S. government, media, and financial sector. Now, already, this person's going to get more clicks because they put the big trigger words in there. Satan-worshipping, pedophiles, all that stuff, right? So already better at SEO than Shilzilla there.
Yeah.
The information is kind of the same, so I don't know, but let's get into it. Nearly a quarter of Republicans say they believe that the U.S. government, media, and financial sector are controlled by a group of Satan-worshipping pedophiles who run a global child sex trafficking operation, according to new polling from the nonpartisan Public Religion Research Institute. And I took a peek in there. This is it's a pretty thorough report here that they gave, and it looks like I looked at the total numbers. It was a poll of 5,625 people, 2,600 males, 3,000 females. Pretty evenly divided between Republicans, Independent, and Democrat, and then 400 from others don't know. And then they get into some racial and age breakdowns and the religious affiliations breakdown. The largest group out of this in religious affiliation is religiously unaffiliated. So something to point
that's
out.
interesting.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because they have categories: white evangelical Protestant, 921; white mainline Protestant, 960. Now, I don't know what the difference between white evangelical Protestant and white mainline Protestant is. That like is that like
So,
race thing or
no, mainline, I believe. I could be wrong. It's been a while. I had to look it up myself a long time ago. Mainline is more like Methodists, I believe.
Okay.
Like,
so not
Lutherans.
Okay. Or like
Whereas
non-denominational.
evangelical is like your non-denoms.
Oh, evangelical is non-denom.
Evangelical is the non-denoms.
Really?
And yeah.
So mainline would be like Baptist and
no, I believe Baptist still counts as
evangelical.
Yeah, let's just look it up. Let's just answer this question. I'm sure there's some other people who, these are like the terms that are put upon Christians.
Yeah, they're like labels that
it's kind of like evangelical. That wasn't actually a Christian term. That was a political term put on us.
Yeah.
But let's look it up. So main line. I'm doing this the slowest way possible.
You want me to try there?
No, I got it. Christian deaf. Okay, let's look it up here. Mainline Christianity.
Yeah, mainline. What is mainline?
While evangelical and fundamentalist Christian groups have been growing, mainline Christianity has been shrinking. The term mainline usually refers to those denominations with a long-standing history, including Roman Catholic, Eastern Orthodox traditions, but more specifically, it usually refers to a handful of large Protestant denominations. Yeah, so that's your Methodist. Here we go. The Seven Sisters. These are mainline American churches. United Methodist Church. Weird. Okay. So this is called the Seven Sisters. This is actually interesting. Let me read this whole thing over again. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. While evangelical and fundamentalist Christian groups have been growing, mainline Christianity has been shrinking. The term mainline usually refers to those denominations with a long-standing history, including the Roman Catholic and Eastern Orthodox traditions, but more specifically, it usually refers to a handful of large Protestant denominations. While the term mainline may imply a dominant presence or numerical majority in mainstream society, that is no longer an accurate assumption. The Association of Religious Data Archives states that among Protestants, mainline churches have around 26 million members versus about 40 million members of evangelical churches. The Seven Sisters. Scholar William Hutchison refers to the 7 largest mainline Protestant groups as the Seven Sisters of American Protestantism in his 1989 book, Between the Times, The Travail of the Protestant Establishment in America. They are, here's your mainline churches: the United Methodist Church, the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America. It's got both. It says evangelical, but it's a mainline church. The Presbyterian Church, the Episcopal Church, the United Church of Christ, the American Baptist churches, the Disciples of Christ. Yeah. So there you go. They are sort of the older ones, I guess, is the easiest way to describe it.
Okay. Well, anyway, thank you for that. Appreciate that. But that's sort of the way they divide it up. So it's a survey of about 5,000 people here, or 5,600 people. So decent size.
Yeah. Can I read some comments from Chris Zilzilla's Twitter account?
Yeah.
Okay. These are comments on that article that I just mentioned to you. Geez, you get paid to do this? Wow, pot meat kettle, glass houses and all. Really, Chris? The gall. This commenter just says, hack. Sam says, so maybe don't republish right-wing talking points that they send to you. Just an idea. Next one says, now do CNN. Okay, you get it.
Okay.
How many retractions does CNN issue? Why is he even on Twitter? This poor guy. All right, let's
wonder how
move
many
on.
people who commented listen to this show.
I would like to think that I am responsible for
is there an influx
at
of
least a
Shillzilla
portion
hate?
of these comments.
I was going to say, Shillzilla hate on the rise because of Basil's obsession with Chris Shillzilla.
This guy called him Clownzilla. Clownzilla at it again. This one says, OMG, you're a tool. Look, I'm just going down the list. I'm not even cherry picking these. Okay, let's move on. Enough picking on this poor CNN reporter.
Okay. Well, for time's sake, I don't necessarily want to read this article because it's a much more concise but boring.
Yeah, I don't think we need to.
No, we don't need to. But point being that it is a much more concise and less politically motivated summary of the poll that you know, QAnon conspiracy theory, like who tended to believe
it is
that
interesting.
thing.
It's interesting numbers.
It's interesting, but also again, the entire thing is premised on this generalization, this sweeping generalization, and the reality is the specifics are a little bit more important. You can't just like poll, all government is pedophiles, and well, if we look into the facts of the matter, there have been Republicans and Democrats who have been busted for, underage relations and stuff. So it's not like
also,
it's not
the construction of the poll is an art.
Yeah.
And it's a whole art. You can create a poll to get the statistics that you want. So the agenda behind the pollsters is a big aspect of it, which is why I brought up the link of the pollsters for this particular poll. And it was a broken link from Chris Shillzilla's article. So you can't even link the poll correctly.
Not a broken link from Business Insider. I got the information here. So.
Yeah, I got it too. But I think you're right. It's interesting, everybody. By the way, we had to drop about 20 articles from the show, and we're still going 4 hours long. So make sure to head to canarycrynewstalk.com. And in the show notes for this show will be all of the articles you heard on the show, which you definitely want to save. But there's also like 20 extra articles that are of note. So if you're looking for a good place, I get people asking me all the time, Gons. They know I do the show, and they ask me, well, where do you get your news? I'm like, well, everywhere. Everything. We look at everything. That's the whole point.
We've documented the process of getting our news.
It's not about just like finding one good outlet. You have to read literally every single thing, and that's what we do. And they're like, "Oh, I don't want to do that." I'm like, yeah, I know. Yeah, it takes literally all week to do.
That's why we. That's why we do it for you.
That's why we do it for you. But because we've been doing these additional stories and putting them on the show notes, if you're looking for a good collection of a wide range of news stories to get your news from all over the place, we thought they were important enough to put on the document. Go to canarycrynewstalk.com and click into the recent episode and read those additional stories. There you go. You don't need to rely on weird blogs or rely on the Facebook feed to bring them to you, or rely on somebody tagging you on Twitter or whatever. I don't know where people get their stuff, but don't worry about it. If you want to read what Gons and I are reading, head on over to canarycrynewstalk.com, and you can read the stuff we read on the show, but also all the stuff we read that didn't make it on the show. Not all of it, but the good stuff.
Lou in the chat says, a friend sent me here because I was talking about Flippy the burger bot.
Oh, we've got an organic Flippy fan?
Yeah, the Flippy fan found us, which...
Buddy, you are in the right place, Lou. Welcome to the family. Yeah, beginning of every single show, you can hear about Flippy and his pals taking over the world.
But also, aliens.
Where are the aliens?
We're made by the aliens.
Aliens.
Whee.
Yeah, this is express.co.uk, which I know you love. That outlet, Basil's your favorite number one source.
Why do I love it?
Headline: Joe Biden knows about the existence of aliens and UFOs, claims conspiracy theorists.
God, the Express has really gone downhill lately.
Lately?
They were the best.
They've been like this forever.
What was that crazy article that we read last episode from them? It was crazy. Oh, 4 ways to ritual supermoon.
Oh, that's right.
This is when they were giving away the magic spells to cast on the full moon. Express, what are you doing?
Yeah. President Biden was recently asked by the press whether he knows about the existence of UFOs. While the current White House incumbent did not reveal the rumors to be true, he also did not deny them. President Biden was asked about extraterrestrials on the back of an interview James Corden had with former President Barack Obama. Mr. Obama told blah, blah, blah. We already went through that a few episodes ago about how he can't talk about aliens and da-da-da. During the press conference, President Biden was asked by Fox News, quote, President Obama says there is footage and records of objects in the sky, these unidentified aerial phenomena, and he says we don't know exactly what they are. What do you think? President Biden replied, quote,
Come on, man.
Oh, no, what happened to my... Here we go. Let's see.
Come on, man.
You should ask him again before making a swift exit. Come on, Biden, you don't have anything more for us? You should ask him again.
He doesn't. He's not going to know.
Of course,
they probably have told him, and he still doesn't know. He forgot.
This has led to speculation that the 45th president... I thought he was the 46th president.
I think he's talking about Trump.
Maybe. Maybe.
Because he asked about Trump.
All right.
And
this has led to the speculation.
Ask Trump again.
I thought he was asking Obama.
Oh
he's saying ask Obama. The question was, Obama talked about aliens. What do you think?
Yeah.
And Biden said, you should ask him again. Ask Obama again.
Yeah.
This has led to the speculation that the 45th president of the U.S. does indeed know about aliens, but is keeping tight-lipped.
Yeah, you're right. He's the 46th.
Yeah, come on,
there's two
Express.
Options. Either Express in their expert reporting of spells to cast on a blood moon and alien stuff got their facts wrong and they think he's the 45th, or they're on a big psyop to completely erase President Trump. He does not exist, so therefore Obama was 44th and Biden is 45th.
Or this is their way of getting into the Orange Man bad, which is just a complete misdirection, chop it up. Prominent alien conspiracy theorist Scott C. Waring wrote on his blog UFO Sightings Daily that President Biden's quick exit from the podium speaks volumes.
Okay.
Mr. Waring wrote, come on, get on it, Basil, come on. It's clear. This is a quote from him. Quote, it's clear to me that President Biden knows about UFOs, but he has someone in his earpiece telling him to avoid the subject. But it's a matter of national security and cannot be talked about by the U.S. president. This is why he made such a quick exit. He had known, had he known nothing, and he would have stayed at the podium and taken other questions from the world press. But he was scared to reveal something he was not supposed to reveal yet. This interview tells me Biden knows about UFOs and aliens, and that knowledge is putting a weight on his conscience that clearly shows in his facial expressions when asked.
This is garbage. This is complete garbage.
Several videos have emerged from you. Official, blah, blah, blah. The glowing orbs and we know about that.
Express. It's so dumb.
Literally, a denial turns into everything. But, this is what they did to Trump, too. He would, turn around and walk out, and they're like, oh, he must be mad. He knows something
that is
he doesn't.
Funny. They're framing this type of analysis, I guess you could say, by this conspiracy theorist, obviously meant to just make him look crazy. Part of the anti-conspiracy theorist psyop. You got some CIA Mockingbird stuff involved here. But you're right. That's exactly what they would do to Trump. That's what the mainstream media would do to Trump. Like, do you see his body language? He knows something that racist.
He hates Jews.
Yeah.
Destroy the Jewish state.
You see how he slipped on that ramp? He knows something.
All right. Well, here's one more alien update here. Vice.com, your other favorite outlet.
I do find Vice entertaining. They're a good woke. If you're trying to like figure out what the woke are thinking, Vice is the way to go.
Oh yeah. Major QAnon promoter Ron Watkins is starting a WikiLeaks for aliens.
Aliens.
Major QAnon promoter. Isn't the theory that he is QAnon, or like he
only because the guy who made the documentary has footage of him like laughing about something? Remember, we reported on it.
Yeah, there's a little
He's
editing
the 8chan guy. Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, he laughed about it, which means he is, but he can't admit it."
It's kind of the same thing as we just read from Express.
Yeah. Ron Watkins, the one-time administrator for 8chan and the man who facilitated the rise of QAnon, which, again, I don't know that that's entirely true, but okay, wants people to send him documents about aliens so he can share them with the public via a forthcoming website called Alien Leaks. Quote, "The Alien Leaks project is going to be an anonymous Dropbox for anybody to send documents to. It's inspired by WikiLeaks and the work Julian Assange did with government accountability. But instead of focusing on government accountability, the goal of Alien Leaks is to focus on extraterrestrial disclosure," Watkins said in a recent episode of the Alien Agenda podcast. Quote, "This is all interesting stuff, and I'm sure there's people around the world sitting on troves of documents." Watkins announced the new project on his personal Telegram channel. Quote, "With humanity on the brink of alien disclosure, do you really trust the government to tell you the whole truth?" he said in a post announcing the project. Watkins also launched a new Telegram channel dedicated to alien leaks. Quote, "The government is currently gearing up for some kind of soft alien disclosure," Watkins said on Telegram. They will only be the tip of the iceberg. A brave scientist, researcher, or specialist may just step forward to leak documents that show us the full iceberg. UFOs are one of America's most well-trod conspiracy theories, and the spaces where people gather to discuss extraterrestrials are rife with grifters. Watkins is a popular figure in conspiracy circles, and his embrace of aliens signals a wider shift in conspiracy culture. No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. That's crazy. The whole mainstream media can't talk about anything but aliens right now. That is such a bizarre, completely fallacious thing to say.
QAnon and alien conspiracies were already merging.
Who wrote this?
Vice.
Matthew Galt. Matthew Galt, you are completely disconnected with what's going on right now.
I think we read one of his articles before, and you had the same reaction, like visceral reaction.
What does this guy live in a cave?
This is crazy. And alien conspiracies were already merging in 2019, and there's a hyperlink to the article. QAnon and UFO conspiracies are merging. When Trump caught COVID-19, a fringe theory said he was an immortal extraterrestrial shapeshifter who caught the disease as an elaborate ruse to throw the deep state off his trail. YouTube personality David Wilcox is selling salvation via UFO at $333.33 a pop.
Oh.
Also, it's not David Wilcox.
Sounds like episode 333.
It's not David Wilcox. It's Wilcock. Singular.
Maybe this is somebody else, though.
No. The link to Selling Salvation takes you to a Vice article that quotes David Wilcock.
This guy is a complete joke. This guy's worse than Chris Shilzilla.
He is.
How do these people get paid?
Recent disclosures from the Pentagon about... Hold on, I'm time stamping that one. I like that one to be the top of the show. You just really just appalled at the whole situation. Recent disclosures from the Pentagon about Navy pilots witnessing strange lights. Yeah. Late show, blah, blah, blah. All right, that's it.
This guy offends my sensibilities.
It's like they don't know, they need to talk about something, so they're like, oh, how do we keep our narrative alive but talk about all the current events? Oh, I know how. It's merging. It is merging.
Where have you been for the past year and a half, Matthew Galt?
Not even a year and a half. How long has Ancient Aliens been on TV? The alien conspiracy theory thing has been a thing forever.
Yeah, but I mean, you didn't have daily news reports until the past 6 months.
Sure.
Now every single major news station will have a UFO update every day.
Yeah, well, we're going into Alien Week, or UFO Week, and June 24th is World UFO Day. So maybe they're planning something for that.
24th.
Yeah.
Oh, I know somebody getting married on the 24th.
Oh,
maybe they're aliens.
You figured it out. You're going to be at their wedding.
It's going to be fun to bring that up at the wedding.
You're going to knock back a couple shots, and you're going to walk up to him and you try to rip off his mask.
Show me your lizard eyes.
Show me your face.
Show
your
me
real
your
face.
Eyes.
And they're going to say, man, Basil's really had way too much brandy.
Somebody needs to vax that guy.
We're made by the aliens.
Okay. I think we're done.
We're done. I can't take anymore.
Can't take anymore. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. My gosh, we made it to Friday. The next show will be on Monday. That is the 31st of May.
Yeah.
So make sure to turn on notifications, put it on your schedules. It'll probably be a little bit of a shorter show on Monday. So you want to make sure to jump on right when we go live. Follow us on our social media. We don't say that a lot because we don't care. But if you follow us on our social media, then you will have a better chance of being able to catch the show when it starts because we do posts before the show. Did you have something to say?
Yes, I was going to say that ISOs that we have of different people saying different things, like Alex Jones saying,
"We're made by the aliens,"
is not an endorsement of Alex Jones nor an affirmation of the statements made. That's why we have ISOs like this.
We're all going to die.
It's just funny, folks. It's jokes.
Yeah, they're just ISOs.
You can't handle the truth.
Did somebody in the chat trigger you?
I'm triggered.
Vaccination.
Okay, there you go. Jingles are not endorsements. We need to put that in our disclaimer.
I know. We have to disclaim everything now.
Yeah. All right, everybody. There you go. So be back here on Monday, the 31st. It'll be a little shorter show, but follow us. Stay tuned because it's going to be a good one. And we will need some producers for that show. That will be episode 434.
No.
444.
No, 344.
Oh, my brain is so fried. 344. 344. There you go. And so we'll need some producers for episode 344. So, we had a nice little conversation. I hope that illuminated the idea for everybody about the value for value model. And I can't wait to see who produces the show, but also, let us know what you think. Let us know what you think. Send us little notes. If you send a PayPal or something and there's no note column, go ahead and send us an email at canarycryradio@gmail.com. We like hearing from you. But I want to thank all of our producers for this episode, episode 343, and that list consists of producer Underground LA, Joseph H, Spears Desert, Jessica L, Marsha M, Lewis S, Scott K, Sir Casey the Shield Knight, James H, Tristan H, and Jack V the Gen Z Crypto Chad. And of course, thank you to Rachel C for the timestamps, and of course all of our wonderful musicians and artists for putting in the work to make this episode happen. We can't wait to cooperate. Ooh, we cannot wait to cooperate with you all on the next episode, episode 344. You can become a producer financially by heading over to patreon.com/CCNT. That's patreon.com/CCNT. And, or if Patreon's not your thing, go ahead and head on over to canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support. Everybody loves waffles.
That's right. canarycryradio.com/support. Don't worry. Don't be afraid. It'll look a little funny right now, but we are currently fixing the page. But you can still produce the show there. And of course, if you're a creative person, create jingles, create art, graphic art, music, all sorts of fun stuff. Whatever you do, create something based on the show. Send it on in. We'd love to feature it. You can send that to canarycryradio@gmail.com or canarycryradio@protonmail.com. Thank you very much. Remember, I will be reading ratings and reviews next Friday. So if you haven't done it, please go to Apple Podcasts, search for Canary Cry News Talk, and leave a rating and review. Remember, I'm going to read them on the show. No bad words, but people have said some funny things in those reviews, but it really does help the algorithms, help spread the show around. And here's the thing, though. If you don't want to rely on the algorithms to tell people about the show, just go ahead and share it yourself. Put it out on your social media. Share this episode. Share a different episode. And even better, you got friends and family who are starting to wake up to the fact that the world is not what it seems. And you can go ahead and let them know about the show. They will be forever grateful, kind of like the guy who was talking about Flippy with his buddies, and somebody showed him our show because he's a fan of burger flipping robots. It's a place for everyone. So go ahead and do that. We like to call it rattling cages. And if you need any more instructions, here's what you do. You just walk right up to them. You just grab them by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. Guns, any last words?
Well, world's gonna end, but also wait a little while, because the coming one will come and will not delay, as Hebrews 10 verse 37 there.
Yeah.
Just to throw some hope out there. You know, we need some hope.
Oh, we got hope.
Yep.
Oh, we got hope by the bushel, baby. And you can get a little bit more of that hope by tuning in to the next episode on the 31st. That's coming up on Monday. Thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk, everybody. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
Come on, man. Keep yapping, man. Oh, it's really a productive segment, man.
You're under arrest for crimes against science.
Aborted feces.
We're all gonna die.
Aliens. Aliens. Aliens.
Congratulations, you are being rescued. Please do not resist.
Look it up.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Bye, gold. Bye!
I want to shake things up, shake things up. I want to shake things up, shake things up. Leave the bird alone. I want to stir up some controversy. I want to rattle a few cages. I want to rattle a few cages. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. A crusader for the little guy. Little guy. Little guy. Well, we'll see about that.
Whatever, Illuminati.
We're all gonna die.
Vaccinations. Vaccinations.
Are you even woke?
Vaccinations. Vaccinations.
Fun fact, I believe it was
Aborted feces.
another fun fact.
Aliens.
Fun fact. Another fun fact.
Brings me back to my Screamo days.
In the future, humans will be confined in a people's zoo.
I'll keep you safe and warm in my people's zoo.
Come on, man.
I'll keep you safe and warm now in my people's zoo.
Science is truth.
You, yeah, you in my people's zoo. I'll keep the cameras on.
They are scum.
We're all gonna die.
Oh, man.
I'm trying to tell you. He's a Satanist. I'm trying to tell you.
I'll make you fat and sassy in my people's zoo.
And melt those babies.
I'll make you fat and sassy in my people's zoo.
Everybody loves waffles.
You, yeah, you. You, yeah, you. You, yeah, you. In my people's zoo.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo.
Do not come back, you Nazi psychopaths.
We're all gonna die.